Welcome back to the Culture Crusade. How is everyone? Good to be back. Chat, let me know if I'm coming through loud and clear, if you can hear me. And we're going to dive right into it. There are some, as usual, fun topics to cover because there's always something new. There's always something new in the current climate. Now, I'm also just going to double check that my sound levels are all right. And then we can get into it. Now, you might realize or see I'm currently running solo, and that is perfectly fine. Sometimes my wonderful co-hosts are fashionably late, and but when they arrive, we'll be diving into it. All right, microphone sounds good. Okay, so as usual, greetings. How are you all in chat? Hail, hello. Good to see everyone. And chat, give me a confirmation that I'm coming through, that nothing has gone wrong. Can you hear me? And then we'll dive right into it. But it's looking good. Things are looking good. Audio's good so far. Awesome. Thank you. And good morning, another Victorian legend. So we have some bigger topics that is probably going to lead to larger discussions, let's call it. And you know what those topics are by virtue of the thumbnail and title and statement made about James Bond. We'll talk a bit about James Bond later. You know, we like to talk about some lighter topics while people arrive. And then also an incident with a bat has happened in the UK. You see a baseball bat, is a horrible, dangerous, vicious, deadly weapon. That even holding it in such a way where it's in public and people can see it. That's a vicious crime, guys. That's a vicious crime. Carrying deadly, knives for religious purposes, that's fine. But a baseball bat, that's a bridge too far. So yeah, we'll talk about that. And also the memes. Got some memes to share. Those will be the main topics, but we'll wait until some of our co-hosts arrive. And also when more people arrive, because the alerts are just going out that the Culture Crusade has started. But one of the topics that I want to talk about early on in this stream, House of the Dragon Season 3 is now completed. And I had the privilege of checking out and reviewing each episode after it dropped on Nerdrotic. You can go over to Nerdrotic and see a live-streamed, paneled discussion on each and every episode. And now the season is concluded. And I was actually pretty happy with the final episode. It wasn't perfect, but there was a lot that I enjoyed in it, especially on a surface level. And that's kind of something that I've talked about a bit. House of the Dragon Season 3 is an interesting piece of media to consider because it's one of those ones where I am guilty of what I see many people are guilty of in other, let's say, successful movies that aren't very good. Now, I would actually say House of the Dragon Season 3, is it better? I would say it's better than The Odyssey by far. I have my big problems with The Odyssey. Is it better than Spider-Man Brand New Day? There's more of a debate there. Spider-Man Brand New Day has a lot of problems, but so does House of the Dragon Season 3. But where I think Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day is succeeding is on the surface level popcorn kind of enjoyment, especially Spider-Man. You see Spider-Man being Spider-Man, kicking butt. He's wearing his mask, his web slinging. He looks cool. And if you don't think about it too much, now I find that an insult where it's like, just don't think about something. You'll enjoy it if you turn your brain off. I'm like, you shouldn't need to do that to enjoy a film. In actual fact, you should be able to enjoy a film even more by turning your brain on. And the more you think about it, the better it gets. And movies, where you find movies that do that, that's a true joy. That's a delight. When you find a clever, well-written piece of media that when after you watch it, you start thinking about it and you're like, oh, that was really cool. I see what they did there. And you know what that makes? It makes that piece of media upon rewatching even more enjoyable, and it gets better even on the second viewing. And Project Hail Mary. I liked Project Hail Mary out of the cinema. I liked it even more when I watched it again. Then I listened to the audiobook and I liked it even more again. And it wasn't one of those things where, oh, they missed out, because they did miss out this and that. And you got to see the differences, but you also saw what they did different that actually kind of enhanced it and was better in its own way. And it isn't like which is better, the novel or the adaptation. The Project Hail Mary is such an like diamond in the rough, where the adaptation was not only really good, it did by necessity need to change things and made certain things better, but other things worse. And so it's on its own kind of area where I see them both brilliant and good. And even the changes, some, I preferred in the book, but some I preferred in the movie. Especially Rocky's expression and the way he talks. And they added certain things like there are moments of hugging and Rocky doesn't know what a hug is and stuff like that in the movie. And it just plays out so great. There's a reveal about fuel in the movie that has such emotional power and weight through the performance that the movie was better. But the book, oh man, there's certain things in the book are so much better. But that's an example of a piece of media that you can, I've listened to the audiobook twice as well, by the way. And it was even better because it's such a clever, well-written piece of media that you miss things. And then when you enjoy it again, you pick up on it more. That's what happens when you have something that's really well made and is clever. The other, piece of media example that I experienced that I've had with that is Megamind. Megamind just got better upon rewatch because I noticed how clever. It's also How to Train Your Dragon. Surprisingly, in those animated kids movies have surprising depth to them. Spider-Man Brand New Day and the Odyssey, no, they just get worse upon watching. But turn your brain off, people. Turn your brain off and enjoy it. And it's like, again, you should be insulted if that's a necessity. But on the surface level, there is enough to enjoy in it. And even though I don't like Brand New Day and Odyssey, this is where I'm like, all right, I gotta confess, I enjoyed House of the Dragon season 3, and there are a lot of problems. Like episode 2, that when they take the Red Keep, there is so much retardation, contrivances, and bullcrap to achieve that in the plot. Like there's genuinely dumb. There are some genuinely, truly stupid things, but it isn't a complete washout. It isn't a complete disaster. There's some genuinely brilliant moments in this season 3. Really, really good stuff. And so just on its own merits in terms of writing quality, it's a bit like, it's a bit meh. But if you're focusing on the enjoyable things, it's enjoyable. And here is where my biases come out. You see, if a movie adds, take a movie, pretend a movie is like meh, completely average, meh. But it adds swords to 10% of the movie. My enjoyment in that movie isn't increased by 10% because I really like swords. It's kind of increased by 20, 30, even 40%. Just it's swords. And so my enjoyment of things that I like, right, are unbalanced. It's inordinately higher than perhaps their inclusion or the amount of the appearance of that thing in the media warrants. And so House of the Dragon, it has swords. Not only does it has some of the best fantasy swords we've seen in fantasy, like some really, really good design swords. I love the swords in this show. But not only that, has friggin' awesome dragons, like the budget and the way they, depict the dragons are really, really good. This is feature film quality easy in a TV show. And the set pieces, like this is one of the most authentically medieval fantasy worlds ever depicted in film, basically. Not like in terms of fantasy, the adaptation, we're talking like, oh gee, it's like one of the best ones is Excalibur. Content warning if you haven't watched Excalibur, there is some explicit stuff in, but Excalibur has brilliant armor, some good castles, great swords, right? And then of course Lord of the Rings. You can't beat Lord of the Rings. In terms of the sets and the props, And the world they're depicting, House of the Dragon, is up there with some of the best. Up there with Lord of the Rings, I'm saying it. Not in terms of the plot, not even the characters. I'm just talking about how the world looks. It's really, really good. And that's been kind of like a pet peeve of design. Like, I get so annoyed when they just fudge them and bullcrap the medieval thing, and you see everyone wearing biker leather, and it's just fantasy slop with no real proper historical grounding, where this is medieval fantasy. And this is so grounded in the medieval kind of depiction of the culture of time. It's anachronistic, but it still has those historical roots. Oh boy, it's pretty darn good. Hey, Litdev, how are you, mate?
Hello.
I'm just ranting about House of the Dragon season 3. Have you seen any of it all?
I started watching House of the Dragon season 1 after Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but I just wasn't feeling it back then. But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad of a show. Season 1 anyway.
Season 1 was actually great. I loved season 1. It gets and season 3 is almost a contentious topic, because there is almost equally bad as there is good. There's some great moments, and I was worried that there was going to be no one to root for, because Viserys in season 1, the king, he was actually a decent, good person. Still lots of flaws. He caused a lot of the problems, but his intentions were pure. He was a good person, someone that, you could root for, be on the side of. But then, I don't want to give spoilers, but let's say he is not in the picture much in season 2 or 3, and the characters that it's revolving around are the two lead female characters vying for power, and they're both...
That makes sense.
Yeah, well,
it always comes down to women in the modern day fantasy.
That's another discussion about the season 3, because it's almost unintentionally based. Yeah, because these women, right? They're awful people. They are awful, terrible, terrible people.
Does the show know that, or does it?
Well, that's the discussion. The show does know it, but for half the season, you can't tell if it's trying to kind of deflect accountability, especially from Rhaenyra, who the show is kind of trying to get the audience behind for half the season, and then at the end, it's like, well, no, now we need to do the turn, but and she's becoming overwhelmed. But the first half of the season, you can't tell if they are trying to make excuses for her. But if you're just paying attention, there are no excuses. She is terrible. She is so stupid beyond belief. Makes some of the dumbest decisions, but it's almost justified because of her mammoth insecurities and her selfishness, right? Like just on an objective viewing of this work, this show depicts women terribly. They're really awful. And one of my concerns is,
but again, does the show know that?
Well, that's the question, right? And then I was worried that this season wasn't going to have anyone to kind of get behind. And then this season does something almost remarkable with one of its characters, a character, Aegon. And he becomes the best character in the show, the standout. And even in this last episode, he has this moment which is just friggin' brilliant. And like, he only appears in small parts now and then, but he becomes a character that you really start to get behind. And he has a bit of a redemption arc. It's not perfect by any means, but he has to wake up and realize and admit so many of his own flaws. And he's done terrible, terrible things, but he becomes a genuinely engaging and enjoyable character. And he almost starts to carry the show. And it's like, well, dang. And then they did something else. Like, they introduced a new antagonist in this season, and holy crap, he was such a brilliant antagonist. Like, he was a bad guy, but he had these interesting quirks, character traits. He was conniving, vicious, intelligent, and he just you got engaged. You got engaged, and I got to give credit to the show for that. Yeah, it's like some of the characters you think you have to follow, actually, they don't even become the primary ones that you want to follow, and you kind of just want them to lose. But then you have these new characters, or characters that go through redemption arcs, and it's like, oh, well, there you go. There you go. And here's the thing, though. Because the female characters people are identifying them as awful, and people are identifying with this other character, Aegon, is like, wow, this guy is actually pretty awesome. Okay. It's triggering people. No joke. It's triggering people that this is now misogynistic because
the king lives.
The king lives. The king is back, baby.
Back to misogyny. Yeah, let's go back to misogyny. Apparently, it's like at this point when they say some stuff like this, like back to the misogynist propaganda, I guess. Like, I'm just like, you know what? Yes, it's the Asmongold thing. Like Asmongold said this. He's like, whenever they do this stuff, just say yes, and it's a good thing, and they should do more of it.
well, here's the thing. Rhaenyra, the queen, she is terrible. She has caused so much death and division. She's like the worst queen ever. Nearly all the problems was caused by her terrible choices, where she chose to sleep around, not take on the responsibility that she was given, and she mothered multiple obvious bastards that were not, from the royal marriage that everyone could see. Okay. And it illegitimized her in the sight of everyone, and that's just the beginning of the problems. She never took the weight of leadership seriously. She always dodged out on her lessons and tutelage and everything. She was awful, but because her father wanted her to be queen because she was the next in line, and there was a big controversy of should a woman rule or inherit, and her father broke the tradition by naming her heir. Okay. And that's one of the big mistakes because she was terrible. She was not fit to rule. And this show basically validates all the objections of making women rulers because
the historical thing cause more wars and stuff.
The women are terrible and cause unbelievable death and bloodshed. And even with the show's attempt at trying to make Rhaenyra look to be sympathetic and make excuses for her that's not really her fault, it fails at that. It actually fails. And all it does, right? Whenever the show in the early part of the season was trying to make it look like this isn't really Rhaenyra's fault, it just made her look like she was deflecting accountability. They fell right into the stereotype. The stereotype that isn't universally true, but it seems to happen enough that people are identifying a pattern of women not taking accountability. And holy crap, Rhaenyra is like the biggest example of never taking accountability. She is constantly whining and blaming everyone else for the terrible things that she is causing. No joke. And so it's almost like a bit of death of the author, where it feels like the writers were attempting that, failed, and they just played into the stereotype and unintentionally made it like an argument that women should never be in positions of power in a medieval setting. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, I think it's time for fantasy to return to the chuds.
Time for the chuds.
Time for the chuds to reclaim fantasy.
Oh my gosh. And like the contrast to Rhaenyra is Daemon, played by former Doctor Who actor Matt Smith.
Matt Smith. Yeah, the main reason I want to watch the show is because of Matt Smith. He's a really good actor.
Oh, he's so good. Now, he almost got a little cucked in this episode, but he came back in full power at this last episode. And also, the other thing that they inadvertently depict, almost by accident, is how competent he would have been as a ruler. Because in the first season, the question was if Daemon, who is the brother of the king, should inherit. And yes, he marries his niece, by the way. House of the Dragon.
I remember the first few episodes I did see. He's like, he goes to a whorehouse and he's like, he can't get it up or something. And the prostitute's like, I could put on like a blonde wig and I can look like one of your cousins.
Right.
Will that help?
Yeah. And so the initial question was if Daemon should become the heir or the king's daughter, who was a woman, become the heir. And the show was trying to show that Daemon was too hot-headed, too vicious, too bloodthirsty. But the thing is, though, that like even though he has genuine flaws, he's a murderer, okay, he would have been 1,000 times a better ruler than Rhaenyra. For in so many situations, he tells Rhaenyra, you need to do this. And sometimes it's a bad, bloodthirsty choice, but it still would have created stability and strength and reduced more casualties in the long run. And she constantly disagrees with him. And even in this last episode, she has like this massive meltdown because something terrible has gone wrong. And I don't know what the show is trying to do, because they unironically depict a stereotypical woman moment. That's not me trying to say, oh, women, right? It's the show. She has a full-on hysterical meltdown, emotional meltdown, because she can't handle something. And she goes to Damon, and he is calm, collected, completely in control. And I think they were trying to do it like to make Rhaenyra look sympathetic. Like, again, look at all the bad things happening to her outside of her control. It's just so hard. And they end up making it look like that she's can't take accountability. She can't handle leadership. And she is too emotional and unstable. and Damon is there just like this rock solid Chad. It's just like, we can handle this. It's fine.
Right, here's what we do.
This is what we do. And so the show really has this weird like internal battle where death of the author happens all the time, and it ends up being unintentionally based. And with the return, and now so much so that even feminists and people are getting pissed off. It's like, it's so misogynist because Aegon is a way better king than Rhaenyra. Like, massively so, especially with the arc that he goes through. And so he's like back baby. He's my favorite character in the show now, right? And everyone is like getting all pissy at it because like, no, our queen, she's so wonderful. It's like just getting behind someone because of their gender is like, she's a woman. We need her. She's clearly like, no, that's actually a sexist attitude. I would get behind the person who's legitimately showing the best qualities of leadership. Okay. And Rhaenyra's qualities throughout this whole season, she's terrible. Not just like the whole like show so far. She is terrible. Okay. And if they had a good woman ruler, I would support her. We have a female politician in Australia that I support, Pauline Hanson, because of the policies. So it's clearly not about me not wanting to support women. It's about what type of leadership qualities are they showing. But then you have ideologues that are like, oh, you're just saying she's bad because she's a woman and therefore you're sexist. And that's really where this like seems to be saying. It's like, oh, look, it's just misogynist now because look what they're showing. And again, right? It's the show doing this. They actually had, I don't know if it's intentional, unintentional, fully depicted the stereotype of the stereotypical over-emotional, hysterical woman that is not fit for leadership because she takes things too personally and she's too emotional and too irrational and all like think of a female stereotype and this just like it's in this show and I'm like, I thought hashtag not all women, but it's like. Oh man, Alicent, there's another discussion. Alicent is so terrible. So terrible. She's the other primary female leader character. And so as a result, House of the Dragon season 3, okay. I'm a bit more positive than I am negative on it because of all the things we discussed. It's got cool dragon swords, everything. There's good moments in it. There are actually still characters to get behind and enjoy. And then you see, like, what's the subtext here? It's like, judge for yourself.
Some people weren't meant to rule.
Well,
also, just because she's a woman does not mean she's going to be a good ruler. I think it's another good lesson.
Exactly. Well,
remember like Hillary Clinton? Remember like Hillary Clinton was like, yes, I have a lot of good qualities. One of the good qualities I have is that I'm a woman. It's like this. Look, just because you're a woman does not mean you're going to be a good candidate for something.
Yes, exactly. Hey, John, he's on his way. He'll be here soon. And so this actually, like, it speaks to a deeper truth that people have known even subconsciously throughout history, that men and women are different. This is the beginning kernel of an eternal truth that is just plain, and anyone trying to deny it is denying reality. Men and women are different. That's the first truth. And then there's another truth that is connected and is just the next step. Okay. Men and women have different strengths and weaknesses. Boom. Okay. That's an undeniable truth. Different strengths and weaknesses. There are things that most men, not all men, but most men are just inherently better at. And there are many things that women are just, and most women, not all women, but most women are just inherently better at. They've done psychological studies on this. Women are like naturally better at multitasking, okay, and connecting with people on an emotional level, and they can pick up on emotional cues and stuff like that. Where men are really good at focusing on single tasks really effectively. Okay, and they respond to emotion differently. They are as emotional as women, but we generally internalize emotion, which changes the way we are able to process or undertake certain tasks when emotions affect those judgment calls. And sometimes the way that men and women deal with emotion differently inherently makes them better and worse at different tasks. This is just plain reality and truth. And the way that women generally internalize emotions, right, makes them really good at raising children, because children need emotional empathy. It makes them really good at helping people who are sick or in pain. And so women tend to be really good nurses, okay? It makes them really good at handling multiple tasks and taking on top of things. Women have been really good secretaries. And even, and so like, there are general tasks that women are really good at with their inherent abilities. And men, right? Because men can lock down emotions, we internalize it, we are less expressively emotional as women, makes men able to stick on a task even when emotion is going crazy, like in battle and warfare. Men don't have emotional, they can get shell shock, don't get me wrong, but shell shock is this internalized freezing thing where women, when in great, massive confrontation, they generally express that emotion more, and that makes them do other things. And these are all just general trends. Yes, we know there are exceptions. That doesn't break the rule, okay? And as a result, men have usually been better in combat and able to control themselves in death situations much more. They also have a bit of a biological advantage. And then it comes to leadership. This is an interesting topic, and it's related to House of the Dragon, okay? In leadership, you deal with confrontation. That's one of the primary things: conflict avoidance, resolution, negotiation. And they've done studies. Men are naturally more disagreeable than women. Okay. That doesn't mean they disagree with it. It means that men are willing to be assertive and say, no, I want this. Okay?
Well, masculine men. Because I said before, masculinity is born in defiance. This is psychological.
Yes.
It's well known. Internal
strength, proving yourself, all of that. And even the natural one-upsmanship that men have in a group play off each other and builds everyone in the group, because men want to be surrounded by strong men. And then they also want to be the strongest, big through that natural competitiveness. And this all plays out in dynamic ways, all right? But just based on the fundamental observed characteristic of disagreeableness, right? As a result, men generally will negotiate for higher wages in same jobs than women, because they're naturally more disagreeable. Women then tend to think that I should have been offered the same wage, and it's a sexist thing that I'm just not offered the same wage that men have fought for. Men fight for a higher wage.
And no one's offering anything. Mm-hmm. They negotiate. No one's offering.
Yeah, and just on this basic recorded trait that men have in a higher, representation of the women. And it's not to say that some women have this trait. Some women do. They're the exception, okay? We're talking about generalities. And generally speaking, as a result, men have had more success in leadership than women, because they're able to deal with conflict negotiation, demand more, and also willing to go to war and know when and where. Everything is related to that. So much so that women have wanted men in roles of leadership throughout the past as much as men, because they naturally understood that men, just even by their size and being able to intimidate, right? All this plays into psychology and conflict resolution in a massive way, which is so crucial for leadership. Women have excelled in different roles of leadership, usually internal operations, village councils and managing a household and stuff, hiring and firing of staff. Women actually are pretty darn good at, okay? And so it's not to say women are always bad at leadership, it's the types of leadership. But when it comes to ruling nations, history has a pretty observable trend. And it's interesting that even if this show, House of the Dragon, was trying to avoid inherent truths about the roles of men and women, it inadvertently ends up reinforcing it in like.
Well, we try to make it realistic, I guess.
It's like,
no, you know what line they had not crossed yet would be kind of interesting. They had a queen get they could do it too. Like, so I think it's Catherine the Great. Like, what if they had like a queen just get so obsessed with dragons she just has sex with dragons all day? Because I think it was Catherine the Great who had relations with a horse, right?
oh my god!
I mean, if we're going that way, like, what if all these crazy things didn't happen with queens? Sometimes.
I mean, they have Rhaenyra sleeping with a whore that she then makes her like master of secrets and primary council member.
Well, that sounds like something like Nero would do, or Caligula.
And this prostitute is terrible. She is terrible at her job. She isn't a good master of whispers. She constantly tries to undermine Rhaenyra's confidence and trust in Daemon, her biggest supporter. So much so that at this end of the season, Rhaenyra actually wakes up to her, just kicks her out. But the fact that she kept this woman around so long and trusted her, terrible leadership choice, simply because she had a bi attraction to her and slept with her and had a lesbian relationship with her on the side. Like she's a terrible ruler. She's like, I really like my, F buddy, so I'm going to make you a primary counselor in the kingdom. Where the entire kingdom sees this and they're like, you've just brought on a whore to be your primary lead counselor? Like,
no, as strange as that sounds, I could see like a modern day woman doing that.
That's what I mean. It's like, what are they trying to say?
Because that's kind of what happened with as far as I can tell, the comic book industry and a few others, where they get hired in by these nerds who are just horny and want an office girlfriend, and they get hired, and these girls get hired in, and they start and they get into hiring positions, and they start hiring in their friends, and putting them into positions, and they have like no qualifications. No. It's like, okay, well, okay, we've seen this with some of these shows coming out, like, okay, The Acolyte. What are your qualifications? Which I made like a sitcom once, I guess. So therefore I could do Star Wars. Okay, you have like no credits. Here's Supergirl.
Oh my gosh. It is just so funny that this show ended up being such a like self-report, and I honestly think they did a lot of this by accident. They knew that these characters, according to the book, had to go down dark paths, but their attempt to deflect and even make them sympathetic along the way all failed. And we have an unexpectedly based kind of show at the end of the day. And it's like, I think this was by accident, but I'll take it anyway. Oh my gosh. So, hey, moving on. I saw you retweet this, LitDev, and I think this is an interesting discussion. So, as you ask in this tweet, which one was it? And so this is which video game franchise, and I'm going to throw in movie, okay, slowly gets ruined, and this is like your reaction to it. Like I mean, look, all of them.
Time to let go.
Yeah, all of them. But there is one more than anything else. Like what was that one for you, LitDev?
Let me see. If you're talking about like video, we're talking about movies and things.
Yeah.
I don't. There's so many, but like Star Wars was a big one.
Star Wars is a big one for a lot of people.
That's what started. Kind of what started it all. Really started it all was like Star Wars was a huge one because it was such an integral part of a lot of American childhoods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the key things, I guess, is made you realize it's time to let go, because that does change the calculation a bit here. Because the one that hurt the most, the one that I got the most angry over for the desecration of what they did to the source material was the Wheel of Time. I love the Wheel of Time book series. You see them right there. And it's such a great book series that has a overarching message that unless men and women work together, the world is going to be destroyed. Okay, men and women need to work together and embrace their inherent strengths and differences. The whole concept of the Wheel of Time is that men and women are different and have different strengths and weaknesses, and you need to let each one in their specific roles excel. Let them do their thing in what they excel at and support each other in it, and you can overcome anything. That what a based message, right? They subverted that completely.
Too based. It's too based.
It was problematic. And what they did in the show was just so offensive to the true message of the Wheel of Time, the characters. Oh, it gets me so angry. But here's the thing. This is what makes it different. I haven't let go of the books. I love the books as much. This has not ruined my love for that. And I almost like resent the implication that it should. But I guess I'd be lying to say if it hasn't soured me a bit, because I don't trust the next Wheel of Time thing. But the franchise that really, when I say really, has soured me on it to the point where I have zero interest in anything from this property coming out is Star Wars, isn't it? Like I still love the original trilogy, and so I'm not letting go of the original trilogy. I love original Star Wars for what it is, and I always will. But I have no interest in anything coming out that's Star Wars related, adjacent, titled. Like it is kind of dead to me in that sense.
Yeah, because it went through those stages. It went like from oh man, this sucks to this rage. Now it has come to apathy, and that's kind of where it really dies.
Yeah.
But one of the things I really liked was D&D. Like that was like a really interesting prospect, and they really ruined that. But one of the big ones when it's just video games was Warcraft, because I was a huge Warcraft fan.
Yeah,
I played all three of them. I was really into the lore. And then I also played WoW back in the day for a little bit. I played it up to maybe, I think, Burning Crusade, or no, Wrath of the Lich King. I think I quit around there, and then I quit. So
yeah,
but I only quit for like other reasons, because it's taking too much time and money and stuff. So I had better things to do eventually. But
you see that the artwork of Warcraft, the before and after, like this,
it's awesome.
This savage orc ripping someone's head off, and then you have an orc with like a camera taking pictures on a
oh, dude, like, soy facing everywhere.
I know what has happened to
now. Warcraft works are a little bit different thanks to Warcraft 3. They kind of softened them up a little bit, but in a good way. It was really good. The lore was awesome. Like in Warcraft 1, Warcraft 3, they were just savage, like brutal war-driven orcs. And then Warcraft 3 gave more lore, so that they're still warlike, but not evil anymore. Very tribal. And they had more personality things to Thrall, and we got to see like the redemption of Grom Hellscream and all kinds of things that made them really, really interesting, but still brutal and warlike. Like there was like they're carving Orgrimmar out of the harsh wilderness of Kalimdor. That's pretty cool. So even when they changed it up a little bit and made them more on the tribal spiritual side and reclaimed their shamanistic roots, they were still very like savage and brutal and but cool and warrior like. And then wow, kind of this everyone's kumbaya. What really got me was that commercial that they put out, which was, oh yeah, you could get your own house, and there's like this high elf kind of walking around, being all Disney Mary Sue as like, oh, being all quirky, and oh hi tribesmen, hello to you alliance guys or whatever. It's like this, everyone's just kumbaya and friendly with each other. It's all very Disney-esque. Like this is not Warcraft. Where's all the testosterone?
It was supposed to be Warcraft, but they've forgotten the war aspect of it, like the metal.
They even said that. They even said that. They brought back the old creator, the old guy who worked on WoW, and he was the one that said he regrets it being called Warcraft because it puts people off. I mean, at that point, even if you bring back the old guy, make sure his balls are still attached to him.
Yeah, it's dead. It's gone. And like in terms of video games, I think the one for me is Dragon Age. Dragon Age 1. Loved. I was such.
Oh, that's another big one. Yeah, Dragon Age got so fast.
Oh my gosh. Well, even like Dragon Age 2 was hit and miss. Dragon Age 3, actually, people kind of liked. I played it. I was like, that's all right. But then
Inquisition was pretty fun for what it was. Dragon Age 2, I liked because I was like, when I figured out what it was like an episodic, or like a show, as opposed to a grand scale movie. That was the first one. I kind of liked it. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I slaughtered a lot of elves because they got angry with me. It's kind of fun.
To me, I feel like they changed it too much from Dragon Age 1, where Dragon Age 1 was more like Baldur's Gate-esque in terms of the gameplay and stuff. And then they locked you into like a specific kind of character with less character creation options. I was like, what the
you get like
in Dragon Age 2.
Girl or a boy. And you get, and if you're a guy, you get two cringy love interests that are definitely made by women. Right. Because you get Meryl, the shy elf girl, or you get a whore. It's like, okay, I guess Meryl then.
Yeah. But then Veilguard, and I was just like, all the crap about Veilguard, I was like, I'm not even taking a second look at
They
that.
went they went
It's
full
dead to me.
they went full modern fantasy with Vilgard. It's like sci-fi elements and things. Like when was sci-fi crap in Dragon Age?
But they didn't just go woke, they went full woke. They went off the rails woke with trans characters,
non-binary,
queer, everything, gay, everything. It was just like, what the? And then the writing quality was
you can't be negative, or you can't be your harshest thing is like a gentle no, but like a maybe or something. It was crazy. It's like, what this is definitely this is made for gays and women. I guess everything has on a long enough timeline. Every male IP is going to be geared for gays and women for some reason.
Like, here's another one that it's close to being dead to me. I don't like Star Trek. I had to watch Starfleet Academy for FNT, and it was just like the most queer-coded, feminized thing I'd ever seen. And that's what the whole thing, they made it for, the LGBT and women. And the original kind of based Chad Star Trek with strong male leaders. Starfleet is a military organization still with a command structure and everything like that, expecting people and humanity had risen past the cringe kind of thing and embraced higher culture and language. Out the window, utterly destroyed and forgotten for this cringe millennial slop where they wanted to modernize everything. Starfleet Academy was just unbelievable crap. What have they done? It's like, that meme, the meme of from The Godfather, where it's like, look how they, what are they?
They massacred my boy.
Look at that, massacred my beautiful boy. It's just like again and again. Oh, we could list them all, but that was just I saw your tweet and I was like, yeah, I wonder what is the biggest. And I thought, again, I'm trying to name what is the biggest, the primary one. It still might be Star Wars. I know it's the obvious answer. Everyone would choose it, but what they have done to Star Wars and how the level of destruction, how they have destroyed all interest in anything Star Wars is monumental. I don't even think Marvel is damaged that much, and Marvel is damaged. But look at Spider-Man. Like if Marvel still makes something decent, seems like people will show up. And by the way, I don't think No Way Home is particularly decent, but there was things to enjoy. Okay, it wasn't the worst thing ever. But like, yeah, there are some maybe characters that they are not destroyed. But Star Wars, oh boy, that one is. And what else do they have left? Like if they try and remake the original trilogy, I'll just be more pissed off. Even if they did a good job, I'll be like, get stuffed. Don't give me this Disney replacement, attempt. We got the classic. And so, gosh, yeah.
Well, I kind of noticed something there too. Like just I didn't see either Supergirl or Spider-Man, but I did see the trailers, and they have very different attitudes. One of them being that Supergirl is all the trailer for Supergirl is Superman sucks. I know people are saying that. Oh, she's not really saying that, but they're really saying that. Like it's got Crypto peeing on Superman. It's got her going, oh yeah, my goody two shoes cousin and everything. And she might respect Superman at the end. I don't know, but the trailer was giving off that vibe of like, oh, he's so boring, right, girls? We want to be trashy, we want to be edgy, and we want to be a little bit bad, like they said in the interview. And what is Spider-Man's trailer like? Oh, let me give up everything I love so that MJ might live. I think then we'll see which one people resonate with. And let's see. Oh yeah, Spider-Man. Also, Spider-Man just knocked it out of the park compared to Supergirl, which is like I think Supergirl right now is like the biggest loss of the year.
Oh, like I couldn't believe how little. Like people were thinking, man, I think this film won't even make 400 million. It didn't even make 200 million. It's like, it's worse than even like critics were predicting. It's like, they were like, this movie's going to bomb. It's not even going to make 400 million.
Could you imagine the other way, if the shoe was on the other foot and there's some, I don't know, some neckbeard movie creators like, yeah, we got our hands on this new IP of this awesome hero, and we're going to depict him as like this a bum, and he just sits on the couch all day playing video games, and he doesn't have a job, and he just mooches off the government, and we want to make this so that young men can know that they could be a little bad too. Like, would you go see that movie? I don't want to see a movie about a bum.
I know. I don't. And well, speaking of that, right? So ending off this segment, but it jumps right into the next one, is that yeah, I would probably say the word, like the one that done the most damage to is probably Star Wars, but there's just such a long list. It's like pick your poison at almost at this point. But they're not done yet. Wait until you see what they do next. Which brings us to the next topic. So, Polymarket had this tweet and about James Bond. You already know where this is going. You already know where this is going because, like, out of all the franchises they have ruined, they haven't ruined, like, they've ruined James Bond already with how they try just completely destroyed, you know, James Bond, the last one, killed him off. But I mean, it is an IP. Is an IP like valued a lot, so they need to do something with him. And this is the report. This could mean many things, but everyone kind of is expecting and knowing what it probably means. It's like one of the biggest red flags. So Polymarket, just in, James Bond producer Amy Pascal reveals the next 007 actor will offer a really different take on the character.
Why is it always women with James Bond? Like they keep like listening to Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Like why are the women taking control of the reins of James Bond?
They hate the character because none of them are attractive enough for James Bond to have wanted to pick them up. That's what I
think what's his name, Matt Damon or Mark Wahlberg or the other guy that played Batman once. I get those three guys mixed up, but one of them said that it was whichever one played Robert Ludlum's character, the super spy. He's like Jason Bourne.
Oh, Jason Bourne.
He played that character, and he's like, oh yeah, James Bond is misogynistic and evil. He's like listing a bunch of things that James Bond is in his eyes, and I'm like, yeah, get that one. Get that James Bond. Because that James Bond, it'll do well.
So, in regards to James Bond, right? There is so many things that the ideology, especially feminist, okay, but also the woke-minded person, just despise about James Bond on a fundamental level, the core level. James Bond, the core fundamental construction of his character. He is a British patriot. British exceptionalism for the crown, for king and country. He is on the side of the empire. And already we got problems now because how dare
if they really wanted to be bold and brave, they would have James Bond look into grooming gangs. It was modern day Britain.
So there's one big problem ideologues are going to have with James Bond. The next big problem, he mercilessly kills enemies against him and the crown. Like bad guy, you're dead.
It looks stylish doing it too. He's like
haha. Yeah, and he makes it look good, right? Like James Bond, if you use the modern terminology, his aura, right, his entire, he just wipes out swaths of bad guys without mercy. And by the way, you can look at multiple James Bond films. He has no problem killing women either, by the way. Like he's an equal opportunist, unless they're really, really hot and he kind of, but if they turn on him, you're done. If
he sleeps with a woman and she ends up dead, he's like, whatever.
Sometimes he does get, heard about it, but that's the ways he was burned in the past has locked off, closed his willingness to let any other woman into his heart. And it was when he got married. He got married, and it's in the film, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, and she gets killed. Okay, and ever since then, he's basically will never let another woman into his heart, and he will use sex to his advantage, and that's where we get to the third problem. But just the second problem, okay, is that there's this whole idea that you need to empathize with the enemy, feel like you need to understand they're trying to invade and destroy and everything because they just haven't had enough opportunities in life. You're just privileged and they're underprivileged. So you need and how dare you fight? That's the whole thing why they hate Batman. Batman is fighting, criminals, but they'll know Batman is fighting homeless people and is all his privilege and riches, all that stuff, right? So they hate this original idea of the hero, which is another segment we'll get to later in this episode, right? But they hate that, James Bond, the classic James Bond has a clear-cut distinction of he's a hero and he kills bad guys. Third thing that they hate is that he's a womanizer. He loves the women. He will sleep around. He will use women. And James Bond is this hyper exaggerated male power fantasy. Okay. And like, here's the thing, right? I'm an average guy. I don't want to be James Bond. I live to a Christian standard. Okay. I have my woman and I don't want to sleep around. Okay. But as a teenager, as a young man, when you're looking for like attractive women that you want to meet and go out with, James Bond is this hyper exaggerated power fantasy that he can get any woman because he's so suave. He is so just charming and powered, strong and competent that he can just walk up to women and not in a cringe way where it's like, you know, hey, you want to go sleep with me or anything like that. No, he woos them. And he can seduce women, even women that don't want to be seduced. They fall for his charms. Like in GoldenEye, where M gives him a therapist and the intent is this therapist needs to put him on like, you know, reprimand or anything for his behavior and stuff like that. And so she's ready to, she's like ready to be, you know, stern and look at his faults and everything. And he just completely, you know, sweeps her off her feet. He's in the car. He puts her off in her off foot by driving exciting, dangerously, and she's like, she's scared but also secretly excited because no man is kind of
they really hate that, the whole thing about the strong woman who's like falls head over heels for the masculine guy. They hate that,
and they can't stand a man being somewhat assertive in their pursuit of a woman, because that's tantamount to rape. That's like not taking into their you know, consent, even though this woman is consenting, right?
Well, that's what I was saying with the He-Man movie. It's like he was coming on to her and he's like, okay, well, you're Teela and I'm He-Man now, and she's like, oh, we're friends, and he never makes another move again.
Yeah, that is true. I'll give you that.
Now the only other option I think they would allow is if Teela went up to him and kissed him, because they could never allow He-Man to do that to her. I mean, like they could never have He-Man pull her into a kiss, like come here, and then like, you know, just kiss her at the end, and now they're together because he says so.
Yeah, well, the amount of feminists that have cried, you know, outrage, rape for Han Solo pursuing Leia and Leia playing hard to get and Han picking up the
I was going to say that one.
Like he knows that Leia has the hots for him, but she's like, oh, he's a bad guy. He's not a good fit for me. I don't really want it, but I do, but I don't. And Han really likes her. So Han pursued her, right? And even like, was it a forced kiss? Well, she kissed him back, right? And so, but that, like, feminists have gone insane over, you know, Han's pursuit of Leia, saying that it was so inappropriate when they've lost the concept of women playing hard to get and wanting a man to pursue her. And oh man, there was even a video of a woman like complaining. She was walking down the thing. She did like this, you know, TikTok video saying, I'm walking, I'm hot, I got my tits out. She had a low cut top and everything like that, and no man is coming to see me. What's wrong with you, man? If someone's taking your balls, yeah, feminists in the Me Too movement have, right? When men are just like deathly afraid of approaching women now, even when women are like trying to say, I want you to approach me. And there were even women that was like, you know, did the whole like a guy approached her and said, no, I'm not into you, wanting them to keep trying. And then they get really upset. The guy didn't even come back. He didn't even try a second time. What's wrong with him? And it's like,
yeah, they said all these guys saying no now. Like, okay, no, all right. Yeah. Because but that was exactly what has been taught to a lot of men. No means no, right? I think a lot of men learned that growing up. Like, no means no. If you kind of keep pressing on, you're a creep, you're a rapist, like you're a weirdo, like that's a bad man move. Like, you're a bad person if you keep pressing on after no. That's what a jerk does. That's what a lot of people have been taught. Now a lot of guys like grew up with that and go, okay, well, no means no. Goodbye. Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, what do you mean? And actually, I heard one woman actually said, sometimes no means yes.
Like, that's women saying it.
That. She literally said that.
And so
I could be manipulated.
right. So feminists, ideologues, they hate James Bond on a fundamental level. And these are the ideologues that have control of the franchise. And so when they say, oh, it's going to offer a completely different take, what do you think? That's such a massive red flag. Now, some people say, well, if you wanted a different take, you could do something awesome, right? Like this.
Yeah, how about a completely different take, like make it for men?
What about Pierce Brosnan returning as a retired 007 is the only acceptable difference? Like his grizzled and all the soy, agents just can't hack it. They're getting killed and they need the Alpha Chad, James Bond.
Yeah, that'd be kind of funny.
Come back
that'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
Like, that's a different take that I'm like, all right. That I could allow.
Like the beginning is like a soy version of 007. He's like he's got the soy beard, he's got a man bun, and he's got instead of a tuxedo, he has like the shirt with the tuxedo print on it, and he's just walking in being all like Gen Z or a millennial soy, and he easily gets found out and killed. And like, okay, this is the 40th 007 agent we've lost this month. We need.
And you know what I'd love? Like one of these agents like gets the bad guy, and the bad guy's like, "Look, I'm sorry. You have no idea how bad my life was. I was just wanting some
and he
something
believes
nice to
him.
eat." And he believes him, turns it back, and then he shoots him.
Boom! Pop! And what was it? What else was it? Oh yeah, and he tries to. In order to get the information, he has to seduce a woman, but she says no, and he has to respect her choices, and so he gets killed or something.
And then after he says no, she accuses him of rape anyway.
One of our last agent is in prison because he got accused of rape. Oh, he raped a woman? No, he asked her out and he said no. Or she initiated a kiss and then she accused him of rape.
right. And then they're losing. Britain is about to be destroyed, and they need the Chad, the real James Bond, to come back. There's a different take that could work. How are you, John? By the way, good to see you, man.
Good evening. Thank you for having me back. Good to be here.
I think you're on the wrong mic. You're a bit echoey there, mate. What
if they did like they did like the three doctors or something like that? Doctor Who, they bring a bunch of doctors. What if they did that? Or the Red Rangers, they get all the Red Rangers together. Well, they did that. I'm not sure how many other James Bonds are left alive, but they could bring in like some other older guys to bring back to like be other 007s, and like we're getting the band back together. We're getting a bunch of 007s out of time.
But when they say a really different take on James Bond from the people that are in control of it, this is the type of stuff that is invoked when
wheelchair.
How's this? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, I had the wrong. Bugle Daily, my friend.
Oh my gosh! We're at a time. I would not put it past them. They would love to do this as James Bond. They need to emasculate the character.
Trans James Bond.
Exactly. Remove all the problematic elements, feminize it, make it for the LGBT, do the whole thing. They want to wokeify the entire thing, and they would love to do this. And they would almost feel justified because of the Odyssey. And here's the thing, right? I don't care now. You've already basically ruined James Bond. And so, yes, please.
I have all the movies. I have all the movies on the physical copy. So.
I've got my classic James Bond. This would be the most hilarious reality ever for them to like cast like someone like what's her face as James Bond, right?
Yeah, they already completely destroyed James Bond as far as me. For everything about Daniel Craig will go down as the worst Bond, period. Because from the very beginning, it was a shame to be James Bond. He was ashamed to be James Bond. They got the one they used to say about Bond. He was the man every woman wanted and every man wished he could be. And you got the one guy in the world that didn't want to be James Bond to be James Bond. Yes, he never looked like James Bond. He never really acted like James Bond. It was a James Bond skin over a Jason Bourne blueprint. And it always never worked. And they always got drugged, kicking and screaming to the Bondisms. Okay, well, we'll bring in Q. Here he is. He's Bond's gay little sidekick now. Okay, that was never the point of Q, but and of course they had to keep Judi Dench, who was M from the 90s, and she was a subversive element from very early on. A lot of people don't want to admit that. I like Judi Dench. I liked her M. I was never big on her whole standoffish attitude with him, and the fact that the first time you see her, she's going, "You're a misogynistic dinosaur, a leftover from the '80s, Bond." Like,
yeah, a relic from the cold age. But the thing is, though, he proved her wrong. That was like they were still aware enough that James Bond is the hero, okay, and they even softened that Judi Dench's M to be a bit kind of like a mother figure and protective of him and stuff. But then now that they've gone off the rails. But in terms of different take to James Bond, how about this different take? You reckon we could yep, there's another one. They would totally go for something like
I'm
this.
going to be an agent?
Right? You know they would. You know they would. Because James Bond is a problematic character, far too masculine, too much men like this character, and so they have to completely
the Punisher treatment.
Yep, neuter him completely. And look, that's like I could see them doing it. I could see them doing it. Okay. And that's the most extreme subversion, even though it's possible. But what is more likely, okay, is someone like this. And this is still almost just as bad in my mind. Like they would love to cast someone like Pedro Pascal, a complete like soy beta, masculine, guy in the role. That's what is probably more likely, honestly.
I think that'd be kind of funny because he'd be like, he's Latino. Like, why would he be James Bond?
Right? James Bond needs to be a British exceptionalist, like he is on the side of king and country, and unapologetically British supremacist. He's like Britain is brilliant. I'm on the side of the king. We are better, and I'm saying this as an Australian, but we're like secondhand British. We're like the British rednecks. Okay,
well, Shad, that doesn't work for Bond because listen, you don't need to attribute a bunch of motivations or anything to why Bond does what he does. Bond does what he does because it's his job. You don't have to add backstory or trauma or a bunch of, you really don't need that a minute. Bond is a pulp era hero. He does it because they said, hey, we've got a mission for you to do. We're going to put Bond on it. All right, that's my mission. I'm going to do it. It's a military mindset, and a lot of modern writers not only were not in the military, despise the military, and do not understand how a military works. You can see this reflected in a lot of military writing from modern era stuff, where you just have people who are so flippant about how they function in the military, talk back to their superiors. It is an entirely different kind of culture that is almost impenetrable to unless you've actually been in it. And Bond is part of that. Bond is a military man. He is a secret agent because he's been a part of the military. Like I forget what his exact rank is, but he's like a colonel by the time he becomes Bond. He's
a high rank, like a captain or something like that.
He's not a scrub. He didn't. That's why I didn't like that that young James Bond video game that came out not that long ago, James Bond Jr. Because that's guys, I love Bond. Me and my dad used to watch these movies all the time,
dude. I grew up on James Bond, and I went back and watched all the old movies. And look, some things are probably too inappropriate for the age of where I started watching, but the core aspect of James Bond is he is a unapologetic hero that kicks ass and looked great doing it. Like
James Bond that goes that has like a woman nearby, and he just like slaps her butt and just sends her off, going, "No, darling, man talk." And then we had that James Bond back,
the Sean Connery James Bond. Look, there are so many greats. Sean Connery, of course, set the standard. He was the first, but oh dang it, I was on the tip of the blonde Bond. I can't believe my brain just went dead.
That was Craig.
You mean Craig?
No, before him.
I call him Bond.
My gosh. Let me go. James Bond actors. Roger Moore. Thank you. Roger Moore can't be forgotten. He was like James Bond for a while. He did many James Bond films, and he was great. Decent. Roger Moore. I liked all
the Bonds until Craig. They all had something to bring. Yeah. Ironically, Lazenby was probably the closest to the book accurate Bond, but he was criticized at the time for being quote unquote too old looking, which is weird because like Craig was way older than him for a lot longer.
And so George Lazenby, he was Bond for only one film. It's the On Her Majesty's Secret Service. He's an Aussie, an Australian. Dalton.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of Timothy Dalton.
Oh, Timothy Dalton. Yeah, he was also good. He wasn't. Timothy Dalton was pretty good. I enjoyed Roger Moore more, but then you get Pierce Brosnan, and he was just like, man, Pierce Brosnan is what
he had the misfortune of having some movies that the scripts were not great. He himself, though, was a great Bond.
Oh, dude, he was phenomenal.
And I will still stand by Die Another Day. I saw that one in theaters. That one was borderline prophetic. That, if I'm not mistaken, that was the one where the media was basically the enemy.
No, that's Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies was the one. Yeah.
And I'm flexing my James Bond lore knowledge here because, like I said, I've consumed all the Bonds. Like, I've watched every single one, probably multiple times, and there are just such fun ones. Oh man, one of the most wild ones. Oh, what is it called? My brain just went. Is when Bond goes to Japan and he fights ninjas.
Oh my gosh, that's I think that's You Only Live Twice.
You Only Live Twice. Yes. That one was hilarious.
Was that the one where they made Sean Connery Japanese?
Yes.
And he doesn't look any different whatsoever.
So good. Oh, but when you get like Jaws come in and you have Moonraker with Roger Moore, it's just like these films are such classics, man. Just such a joy.
That one, Shad, in particular, will always go down as my favorite Bond line of all time. When they're on the gondola and they see Jaws coming, and he goes, "I might have known." When he sees him, she says, "Do you know him?" He's like, "Not socially. His name's Jaws. He kills people." just a bit of professional wittery from him. His lines were always great. I was actually thinking about this over this weekend, how, when he delivers the little jab, the verbal jab, whenever he kills one of the henchmen or the villains, whatnot.
Oh,
I always loved the one he gave when Goldfinger got sucked out of the airplane. And the girl comes into the cockpit and says, "Where's Goldfinger?" He just pauses, looks at her and says, "Playing his golden harp." There was just this snide sneer to the way he said it. I always loved.
His quips and one-liners and puns are they're gold. They're gold. And that's part of the charm of James Bond. He's just so always collected. And that's why this character became so enjoyed. And it's purely a character made for the male power fantasy, for men to enjoy, a hyper-exaggerated, masculine hero. And that's all problematic now.
And the creators like, "Yeah, we want to make a cool male fantasy for you." And the men were like, "Yeah, we want to see this cool male fantasy." And then everyone was like, "Isn't there someone you forgot to ask?"
So I could not see them doing anything good with James Bond. Like out of any property that's going to be the hardest for them to adapt right, okay, because it requires letting men enjoy male-centric media. Good luck. It's just not going to happen. I don't like. So this is a red flag about them saying they're going to do a different take on James Bond. Is it a guarantee? No, it's not a guarantee, but it's a very, likely sign.
My gut tells me they're probably going to go for the race swap. I don't think it's going to be Idris Elba, even though if you were going to race swap James Bond, that would be probably the best choice. I do like Idris Elba. I think he's a fantastic actor. I think that he kind of has that air of Bond about him, but I don't think they're going to go with him. And he's already said he's not going to do it.
Yeah, good on him. They want to race swap him, but we need to push back a lot against them trying to race swap James Bond, because James Bond, out of so many characters, is tied to an ethnic and cultural identity. Race swapping James Bond is like race swapping Black Panther, T'Challa, okay? Tied to a specific ethnic, racial background and group. James Bond is English. He is an English hero, an English character, and it's a descent from English heritage and everything. And what is the ethnic, people of England? It is the English, specifically so. James Bond is English and must be English. He is of that culture and heritage and ethnicity. This is actually where ethnicity is tied to very much, even stronger than many characters. his ethnicity is tied to his character. And by the way, most characters, their ethnicity is tied to who they are as characters, but James Bond even more so. Okay.
And one way I would accept them race swapping James Bond if it's temporary, where he starts off as like a Henry Cavill type, but then he has to disguise himself to fit in, and so they have a machine that changes him into a black guy or something. I think it was Superman.
James Bond does have Scottish in his heritage, so British, ethnically British.
He's British.
He's
British.
James Bond is a white dude, and it should always be that way. And as a Bond fan, I do not subscribe to the notion that it is a title or a mantle that can get passed on to different people. I've never liked that. I've never agreed with that. I don't want to see it. Just like I didn't want to see James Bond die, right, Daniel Craig?
I haven't watched that film and never will. I like.
No, I guess he dies in the last one. I haven't seen that one.
I never will. I was like, piss off.
It was the condition that Daniel Craig wanted for coming back for one more last Bond paycheck. He's like, hey guys, can we just kill him this time? And they're like, sure, Daniel, whatever you want. And they actually said yes to that. And because it was his idea. God, fire that guy into the sun. Fire his entire Bond run into the sun. Yes, including Casino Royale, which was basically the Surf Dracula meme. He was only Bond at the very end.
Right. And have
you heard of the Surf Dracula meme?
No. But all right, because if they wanted to make money, like full on bank, all they would need to do is make a classic James Bond film with all the masculinity and tropes that they originally had, and make it unapologetically lean into it. That would be as big as Barbie. No joke. Like it, give men a film that's made for them and lean into all the stereotypes, all the fun stuff that men love in an action film with a character that we love and just does justice to them. It would make massive bank, but they'll never do it. The world has to change. They need balls to do something like that. So, it is what it is, unfortunately.
Now, this meme that I put down here can apply to a lot of media and how media is taken out today. But basically, this is how it works. Back in the day, if you did a TV show called Surf Dracula, you'd see that fool surfing every week in new adventures. But in the streaming era, the entire first season has to be a long-ass flashback to how he got to the surfboard until you finally get to see him surf for 5 minutes in the finale. That was Casino Royale. That Bond got Surf Dracula.
No joke. That is actually far more accurate than people might realize. Even in House of the Dragon, we talked about it previously in this live stream, is that the dragon fighting is still few and far between. It costs a lot of budget, but like you actually look back to other shows and stuff where they would just do a low budget version, like Stargate SG-1, action everywhere. Old school martial arts like TV shows, fighting everywhere. You look at Daredevil or Iron Fist, Netflix, stuff like that. It's so much talking and slowness and just barely getting to the action because they can't commit to it.
Daredevil got his costume in the final episode for the final fight.
Yeah. But that's
Iron
where
Fist
it is.
Get it in season 1.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that remind me.
They were so ashamed of the source material for that show. It was pathetic.
But that's where things are with James Bond. I have no hope for the future with it, and maybe we'll be wrong, but we're most likely not. That's for that. But shifting topics now, gentlemen. So one of the other main topics to discuss is related to, we'll talk about James Bond and how they're offended by the original concept of James Bond, and the British is kind of just they have this massive self-hatred for being British and stuff like that. Well, we got a new story coming out of Britain, and you guys saw this, the arrest of a guy who had just bought a baseball bat.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that story. They immediately started to arrest him.
This is unbelievable. This is
nothing
this is
that
wild.
The British cops do surprises me. They are
like, I swear.
How do they live with themselves?
Britain, Australia, and Canada are on this race as to which country can be the most authoritarian, woke, and worst. I think Britain is starting to pull ahead, lads. And I'm not happy about that. But even Australia isn't this bad.
He just bought a baseball bat, walked outside. He started getting arrested.
And no joke, the baseball bat still has the wrapping on it from purchase, right? This is unbelievable. That's what happened to Lit Dev. He walked out of the store after having bought a baseball bat and just cop comes in and starts arresting. And the guy's like, what? Like, look at his consternation. He is like in utter disbelief. Like, this can't be happening. What? That expression right there. He's just like, this isn't reality. You're kidding me. You're arresting me for having purchased a baseball bat, and I walk out of the store. Like, I would be the same. I'd be like, are you
just not have a baseball bat anywhere?
This is insane.
It's like a guy trying to perform outside.
Was he going for the bat?
I get it. Look at the guy. He's got his arms out. He's just like,
he's walking away.
What is going on? What is going on?
Do they even train these officers in any kind of takedown methods? Because like most American cops, they're trained to do this kind of stuff. Like he would have had a foot sweep on him at some point.
He's just treating him like he was attacking people.
Yeah, this is insane.
Like he's a full-on violent offender.
And like, man,
is he Vietnamese? The guy that guy looks Mexican.
He doesn't look British, let's say.
No.
And he also looks young, like he hasn't been on the job for that long, because something terrible has happened in the UK, right? All the good cops have just quit because it's authoritarian, it's disgusting, it's a nightmare. And so they have desperately been trying to recruit anyone that will toe the party line, do as they're told. And so they have, and a lot of like classic Brits that can't stand what's going on, they're not going to apply. And so who do they end up hiring? They end up hiring a lot of immigrants. Okay. And so I don't know anything about this cop. Okay. And so I'm not saying this about him, but this is something that's been going on in the UK where a lot of the police officers are actually like immigrants and stuff like that end up just oppressing the native population. This is, this isn't good. This is not good.
You don't have to live like this, Britain. You don't have to live like this.
Oh, man. I might need to bring up the sound because the guy is saying stuff and I kind of need to hear what he's saying because I think it's just, from the impression I'm getting, he's just like, what the hell? This can't be right.
Don't. From that fucking shop, you dumb cunt.
Listen to that again.
Hey, don't. From that fucking shop, you dumb cunt.
I bought it from an effing shop, you dumb.
He just walks out with it from the shop. Time to go to jail.
He's absolutely right, though. He's absolutely right. Like, this police officer is just a blockhead. Oh, my gosh.
Is it out of his packaging? Is it out of his packaging? No, you're not. Is it out of his packaging?
What is he even doing? He's just walking. He's just hugging him from behind. Like, what is he
doing? He's hug dancing.
Well, what happens is he's already radioed for more, and so eventually tackles him down. More coppers come in. Oh no! Bystanders who don't know the context are gonna subdue this poor innocent guy for how dare he purchase a baseball bat. Here are the other
motorcycle cops coming.
Yep.
Oh,
dangerous criminal.
Calling the whole department because a guy bought a baseball bat.
Dangerous flipping criminal. Unbelievable. Like this is beyond parody. This is beyond a joke. All right. Oh my flipping gosh. I don't even think this would happen in Australia, but maybe I'm speaking too soon because I'm trying to think.
I mean,
you're allowed, like under the law, I'm even allowed. I'm not sure about like open or not, but I think technically if I have a legal reason to possess a sword and I'm going to say a martial arts class or a demonstration or something like that, and I need to walk there for a period of time, right? I'm legally entitled to carry that sword out open in the public. Even in Australia, all I need is a legal reason to do so, a valid reason. And so, like, we did it's called an incursion, which is a school invites someone to do a presentation, and they call it an incursion. And they invited me to do a presentation on medieval history and weaponry. And so I brought my whole armory, packed my car full of swords, and I'm there carrying real swords out in the open from my car into the school. And of course, that's perfectly legal. And that's swords, man. And so perfectly legal reason to possess a baseball bat. You purchased one and you're taking it home to use for sport. Perfect, but it's like unbelievable. Like, it's a weapon. How dare he?
I think the guy in the blue shirt on the left there, he has a look on his face like, what the hell's going on?
I know.
Like he has no idea what is happening.
Gentlemen,
today.
this is Democracy Manifest.
That guy is a
charge.
And
Buying
Aussie.
a bat, a succulent
Eating a
Chinese
meal?
bat.
That's suck. And then he got
Chinese meal.
arrested. Then he got
a succulent Chinese meal.
Then he got arrested by a succulent Chinese officer.
Don't touch your hands off my penis.
Hello, sir. Are you ready to receive my limp penis?
Guys, chat, if you haven't watched the Australian man getting arrested, just look up succulent Chinese meal arrest.
Or Democracy Manifest. Forgot his
This
name. That guy
is
was a
Democracy Manifest.
I don't even know what he was being arrested for. I guess
It was a false arrest. They got the wrong guy. They got the
They
wrong
thought
guy.
he was
arrested
somebody
for-
who was like a more prominent criminal.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had
He
to
had a
arrest.
little too much to drink while he was eating lunch, so he was just sort of obstinate while they were putting him away.
They
And,
happened to accidentally arrest like the most eloquent guy. Ta-ta and farewell.
Well,
He was a stage actor.
well, now we need to see it. Now we need to see it because this guy's a legend.
Oh God, I will never not love this clip.
You know your judo well.
We gotta watch it. We gotta watch
Mr. Clement, you just assured me that I could speak.
Sit down inside the car. We're not assuring anything. We're under arrest.
Look, I'm under what?
it. Now, I don't know if they're gonna try and copyright because this was filmed by a news studio, I think, and so a news studio might try and ping us. But I don't care. Look, let's watch it.
Come on.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at the headlock here. See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis!
They're just helpless. They can't even get him down.
God.
There's like all these officers. He's just staying there, taking it, talking. Get your hand off my penis.
This is the bloke who got me on the penis before. For what reason? What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Oh, that's a nice headlock, sir. Oh, yes. I see that you know your judo well. And you, sir, are you waiting to receive my limp penis?
There's three guys are pushing him. He's not even feeling it. He's not even moving.
Yeah. The drunkenness. Plus, he was a big dude. He was a big guy, and they were
Oh,
just
my God.
trying to gently kind of nudge him in there. He just wasn't having it.
It's
Oh,
just
God
what-
bless you, sir. You
what
are a
the-
national
oh,
treasure.
I salute. It's like, you know your judo well. Are you,
You know
prepared
your
to
judo
receive my limp
Yes.
penis?
As someone that actually has taken mixed martial arts and jujitsu classes in the past, I should have point out that was not a headlock at all. But
No,
You know.
that is teasing him. It's,
again, he was a little tipsy.
he was, but like arresting me for a meal, a succulent Chinese meal.
Succulent Chinese penis.
That was what he was the
Oh,
most
yeah,
mad over, was the
that's
fact that he was being taken away from lunch. He was really loving it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good
That's-
meal apparently.
Oh my gosh,
That
that
was
is
succulent.
Rule
Succulent.
one: do not ever separate a man from his food.
Oh,
Right.
yes. The gentleman's passed away now, but he has fallen into legend. He is a living legend now. And it's just like, that was a misunderstanding, okay? And the guy didn't get charged. I think he was released and everything, but he went down in the history books. This UK one is so much worse. There's no humor in it. And it's just like the cops going insane, utterly insane.
Like if this ever happens to you, make sure to start monologuing.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Get
Well, I
gentlemen.
mean, we,
It's
we
democracy.
heard-
The best
we
part about
heard
this,
some
at
of
least,
his lines. but-
because look, guys, remember the last time we talked about the UK police was that unfortunate incident where that gentleman was stabbed and died in police custody, and the police came there and arrested him. while he was bleeding and died. At least nobody died in this instant. And that cop is laughable with his takedown method of just hugging a bear hug from behind while following him
I'm gonna hug you and walk with you
down the sidewalk.
Like
this is all like a whole block or something.
This exposes the rot, the utter destruction of the UK, where they are over policing, extreme policing, law-abiding citizens, and they're letting criminals run rampant. Knife crime, machete crime, going off the rails. And they get basically trained to avoid, having confrontations with any ethnic minority for fear of being seen as racist. And so they will block traffic or pathways, pray on the street to Allah as a sign of dominance and strength. Yet if a Christian is perceived praying out in the open, arrested. Right. It's unbelievable, the double standard, the exposed, explicit double standard in the UK. And people are just like memeing on it, showing it now because like
people.
So, buys a baseball bat. This is AI, by the way.
Get on the ground! Allahu Akbar! It's just a gift. I just bought it.
Which is the bad guy?
It's just a gift.
It's unironically like that now.
It's pretty accurate, actually.
So
I'm pretty sure if you stop the Muslim from stabbing people, she'd be called racist and fired.
Well, so now, even kid is having fun.
Tackle him! Tackle him!
It's Eric.
That's a weapon. I'm just playing baseball.
They play baseball.
The biggest kitchen knife in the world.
Yeah.
No, it's a religious knife.
Oh, it's different, man.
That sounds funny, but that's literally
it is. It is. That's what's the state of the UK, man. I can't believe it. And like these memes, right? People are just like, yeah.
Okay, can the Mandalorian thing be a religion? It's like then you can just own religious guns, right?
Sort of American religious weapon in my religion.
Oi, have you got a license for that baseball bat? No. Right, that's it.
Shoot him! Shoot him!
Wow, nice sword.
Fuck off, pig.
Sorry, sir.
Don't want to be racist.
It doesn't seem that far from reality at all. It's just like, this.
I mean, that wasn't real. That wasn't a real incident.
Yeah, right. Like, unironically, this is radicalizing and making things so much worse. And it's hard to blame people for being oppressed by their own government, people and police. This double standard, two-tier policing. It's just like the UK is destroying itself and it's not getting better.
Well, make no mistake, Shad, there is an element of that is over here in the States as well, especially in a lot of blue cities where you might not see it as that blatant because there is a certain level of education that but you do have a lot of police departments that kind of in the wake of previous political riots and things like that. A lot of good and educated cops left. And a lot of what's kind of taken their place is not quite as up to snuff on it. But yeah, that's not as prominent in the United States, but don't doubt that it doesn't exist here as well to some extent. Maybe not that egregious, but you will end up seeing a lot of two-tiered stuff happen, especially in the deeper blue cities.
Oh my gosh! Like just seeing that, it's outrageous. It's unbelievable. And I'm not saying Australia doesn't have problems, even of course Canada, and stuff is happening in America as well. But you guys have the First Amendment protection, and
we also have red states.
You also have red states
for now.
For now. For now. Oh my gosh, that was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that. But it seems like just again. And it just makes me worried. What are we going to see next now? Because that stabbing that happened to, was it Henry Nowak? I'm probably getting his last name wrong. Again, unbelievable. Oh my gosh. But hey, moving topics to a bit, John, this is kind of something that you commented on. I saw your tweet about this, and this is worth a discussion. The state of modern publishing. We talked about it a bit, but let's talk about it again, and something that I'm going to be testing out. And so, John, you saw this tweet here about the publishing industry is widely biased against men. And they just came across this. And now your response is, publishing industry be like, we got rid of those pesky novels men liked reading and replaced them with feminized gender slop clit lit. Hey, where's all the male readers? Men must not read anymore. That's like the response, you know?
It's kind of like the same thing of like they started gearing all the education towards women and kind of demonizing men and pushing men inside in favor of admitting more women to colleges and everything. And they're like, oh, men aren't going to college anymore. They must be idiots. They can't keep up with it. They're not achieving as much as women now. I wonder why.
They haven't been giving guys anything worth reading. Now, there are aspects to this, right? Because I have 4 sons, and 2 are still pretty young, and so they still love getting read too. But my 2 oldest, they read like crazy amounts. And what they rely on is my wife and I giving them books. This is a good book. Read that. And so we are giving them great books that we know that they would love. But you know how many of those books are new stuff? The only thing really is like stuff coming from Brandon Sanderson these days. Other than that, there's almost nothing. And so they're saying men aren't reading as much. Men can get into reading as much, if not more, than women. Easy. You just need to give them something that they like. That's the takeaway. But this says, the publishing industry is widely biased against men. It just came across this post from Pens and Poison. Wanted to share here. New York Times recently lamented the decline of literary men, blaming the manosphere for steering men away.
Yeah, the manosphere.
Andrew Tate did say that, real men don't read books.
Yeah, and that is pathetic and gay of him to say. But like, I don't know which person is letting their kids listen to Andrew Tate. I hate the guy. I think he's full of it. And all you need to do is look into some of his past and quotes from him, not doctored, not cut out of context, just quotes from him saying some of the most wild, vile crap. Okay.
Well,
But
that's kind
I
of how
think
he built his brand, was building up, saying a lot of outrageous things on Twitter and building up a lot of notoriety. I remember Jeremy Griggs going against him. He say stuff like, I've never read a book in my life, and I've been laid more times than you have. Therefore, I'm better. Stuff like that. Star Wars for nerds. I've never seen Star Wars, and I'm richer and better than you. That kind of stupid stuff, right? It's all inflammatory nonsense to kind of build up his base. He said, books are for nerds, don't read books. And then quite literally 3 months later, buy my comic book that I had made.
Yeah, he's full of it.
Yeah, don't take anything he says seriously. I don't
well,
egregious
here's the
or
thing,
not,
right?
it's all just nonsense to try and build his brand up. He's insincere.
Here's the thing. He's said some unbelievable stuff that ruins any credibility you could ever have in this guy. But then he says base stuff, which is obviously true. Okay. And so people kind of latch on to him. Hey, he's speaking out against the power. And he just latches onto a lot of prominent right-wing kind of talking points. And then people think that, oh, this is a guy on our side when no. And I don't know who are the people letting their kids listen to him or anything like that. But I feel like his influence is blown way out of proportion because there's an easy boogeyman for the left to say, this is the guy influencing all the young men on the right. And it's like, I don't see that. Okay. I think you're using that to try and vilify everyone on the right because he actually has some legitimate issues with him that I don't think people should be listening to the idiot. Okay. But this is kind of what they're doing. It's like, it's blaming the manosphere and not taking any accountability. It's like, you guys hate masculinity. And that's one of the things that I think people do actually find appeal in Andrew Tate is that he is unapologetically masculine where he works out. He's an MMA fighter. He's willing to fight and be aggressive. And he goes after women and all that bull crap. And so because the left legitimately have an issue with masculinity, where masculinity needs to be understood as a virtuous thing, a heroic thing, and traditional masculinity, okay? Restrained, controlled strength, right? That and self-sacrifice for those that are weaker, the provider and the protector, okay? True masculinity, not the false macho insecure masculinity bullcrap, right? Where people have to flex all the time just to reinforce I'm such a manly man. It's like, no, you're an insecure idiot that constantly needs to try and get validation from others. All right.
Well, the problem, Shad, is these people have labeled any kind of masculinity as toxic, so they can't tell good masculinity from bad masculinity.
Exactly.
Therefore they exist in this complete absence of it. Even the men that are around them are very emasculated and feminized by their personal nature, so they don't really have a good view, a good Overton window of what a masculine really even is. It's one reason I don't like Taylor Sheridan's show, because a lot of that feels so faux masculine that it's not even entertainment. It feels like it's a put on. And this is almost like an every 3 to 4 months issue that pops up about men not reading. It was one reason I pivoted in my books, because so that they could be more accessible to younger readers. But they really don't get there. This is just them trying to escape from the accountability that they're the ones that caused men reading to go the way of the dinosaur, essentially. And really they didn't. They went to other avenues where they would be getting the kind of things they're interested in taken care of. Manga, lit RPG, Royal Road, stuff, a lot of stuff that is very unapologetically masculine, where male readers and male writers flew out. And over here in the indies as well. The second that now that you have 70% of the publishing industry is female staffed, or it's women writing books for women, by women, to women, and they get offended when you point out that you don't want to read their books. I got in an argument with somebody in that very thing who said men can read women, and they're not going to die if they read a book about a woman. It's like, you don't get it, and you're obstinate about that fact. You are intentionally trying not to understand things. It's kind of like that meme where it's like, you can't have a discourse with leftists because they intentionally go out of their way to not understand what you're talking about.
Good observation. This is exactly like that. They don't want to take any accountability, so they just pretend that's not the problem. It's just men and the manosphere of the problem. They're not reading, which is nonsense. Right?
It's not our fault. We just published a bunch of monster humper romance and and filthy smut books and put it out there and tried to disguise it as fantasy, as regular reading.
Yep. And when men have something that they like, they consume it massively. Manga is one, but like, look how big Dungeon Crawler Carl is at the moment, right? Like, lit RPG is starting to really take off, and that is such a male-consumed literary format. Okay, and
for now, Shad, when that TV show comes out and Dungeon Crawler Carl explodes in popularity, and that genre eventually explodes likewise, you will see an influx of female writers and readers coming in and going, hey, this is the popular thing I heard about. What's it like? There's a lot of problematic stuff in here. It's good. It's that meme of, you do not belong. We will make our own place. Why are you excluding us? Now you do not belong again. It's a ridiculous cycle. And if the lit RPG crowd knows what's good for them, they'll push back when they try and enter the space. I guarantee you that's what happens.
Well, men still like reading. All they need is something that they like. And so even if they try and, infest the lit RPG, look, there's going to be people like us that are going to write something that they enjoy. And so my next book, I have finished the first draft. It is with my editor, and this is hyper masculine. I literally wrote it for men. It is a book for men about masculinity, heroism, violence. It's called A Tale of Monsters and Men. And I'm very interested in something, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, because I'm testing something with my book, which I'll explain about in just a sec. But first, let's get through this part. And so, but this misdiagnoses the problem, which is exactly what we just talked about. Men aren't abandoning literature because Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan. They're turning to these figures because publishing has turned their back on them. And not all of them are turning to Joe Rogan or Andrew Tate. Like, a good amount of people are turning to people like me and the F&T crew and Critical Drinker and stuff, okay? And so men will find like avenues, and my boys are such a great example. They consume so much literature. They read way more than I ever did as a kid. Okay. And so young boy, and that they're 14 and 16, my two oldest. And as you just give them something that they like enjoy, and they will read and read and read. So this idea that men just like reading less is nonsense. It's what you're giving to them, to give them an opportunity. And I'm a great example. I had trouble reading at an early age, and so I didn't get into books because I found it tedious and difficult. And but someone gave me a book that appealed to me: Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragonlance.
Oh,
and even
right,
with even with my struggle in reading at an early age, that's the first book I read cover to cover, because it was freaking dragons and fantasy and action and fighting. Okay, and so I realized, well, holy crap, I can read books, because I was given something that appealed to me. And I was someone who struggled with reading at an early age. And so that's the key. That is the key right there. But as I say today, roughly 70% of publishing professionals are white women, and literary fiction has increasingly skewed towards series reflecting their interests. Even Joyce Carol Oates has observed that editors are reluctant to read debut novels by young white male writers.
Reflecting
they are
their
actively
interest.
gatekeeping. They are actively filtering them out.
Hold on. Roughly 70% of publishing professionals are white women, and literary fiction has increasingly skewed toward stories reflecting their. It's all porn.
Yes, it is. It is romanticy smut.
It's not just
in fantasy.
The most degenerate, horrifying porn.
Like to the extreme level. We're talking about like romanticizing and fetishizing rape and abuse and having interspecies bestial sex. When I was like, this is unbelievably extremely degenerate stuff. Oh my gosh. Like there was that TikTok clip we even shared on Night's Watch a previous time of this woman saying, this book is about insert horribly degenerate. No, isn't that disgusting? She puts it away and then secretly grabs it and runs away with it. And then she goes through like a list of these degenerate books and she's like, isn't this disgusting? And then she puts it on a reading pile, right?
Completely disgusting. I want to read it though.
Yep.
I remember watching a video of someone talking about this stuff. It was a woman too, complaining about how, because sometimes some women don't want to read porn. They want to read traditional romance or just something cool, a cool story that's not about a monster's giant throbbing cock. And and she's like, sometimes some of these women who are really, really into romanticy, they like the novel feature. They like that it's a novel because you can put stuff in a novel that you can't really put in a movie.
Yes.
It would be illegal.
Yes. That's why they get away with it. It's hidden, right? And like, men sometimes rightly so get criticized for the amount of porn they consume and how degenerate it is and things like that. And a lot of women like, oh, you men are degenerates. Look at all the amount of porn you're consuming. And then they don't even acknowledge that women consume a different type of porn, but in a massive quantity and sometimes far more degenerate than what the men are consuming. But
that's the thing that has pissed me off the most about the whole thing, because when they started coming into the publishing space at about 2013-ish or so, and subsuming and getting rid of the old editors, bringing the new female woke white editors in, and basically turning the publishing industry into another version of Tumblr. What happened was, like, they came in and they loved trashing the previous male-dominated genre. Oh, they always use the one excuse: chainmail bikinis, even though that was one character, Red Sonja, who was not really a book character, was more of a comic character, as just to paint the entire male-dominated fantasy genre as misogynistic. Oh, and they treat women terrible. What's the phrase I'm looking for? Anyway, objectivizing. They objectifize women. All these are about women fawning after the man and lusting after the man. They spread a whole bunch of nonsense that proved they, one, did not know the genre, but two, simply wanted to replace it with their own version. You see what happens now that they have driven the rest of us out of the publishing industry. They replaced it with what they wanted to read, and it's worse than anything that a male author has come up with in that that same
no
genre.
joke. Like, think about the most like fetishized, extreme, objectifying, sexualized bit of media that men have made in like fantasy literature, right? And it is nothing. It pales in comparison to the extremely sexualized stuff that we're seeing in modern day romantasy. Like,
most of their examples come from their knowledge of fantasy art, which usually has cheesecake on display, but that it's a fantasy. It's always been a fantasy. And look, and there's like 30% of the female readers who like it that way too. And they didn't want it to change either. They don't like reading books by other women because they like the masculinity of how fantasy and science fiction used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that too.
Exactly. But feminists come in and ruined so much, and so many people bought in to the nonsense and the lies that they were spewing. And it's like, just like, what was the comment? You can't objectify women. That's our job. And so the women writers are objectifying women and men, by the way, to the most shameless of levels. Okay. And it's actually quite a lucrative industry now because they've realized, oh, look, pornography sells. Isn't that a shocking thing? And so they say roughly 70% of published professionals are white. Well, we read that. Similarly, at writing conferences, Curtis Brown agent dismissed concerns about this bias by arguing that the pendulum was merely correcting past discrimination, which is basically saying we're allowed to discriminate and do the awful things against you because now it's your turn. That's them openly admitting that they're being sexist and bigoted against men. And they say,
every single time they say this, I assume it's an imaginary slight. They made it up.
Yeah.
So they can have a reason to act this way.
Yeah. It was never about equality. It was about revenge. And this is them admitting it. This is, making up for past discrimination by allowing us to discriminate against you. So they never they don't have a problem with discrimination. They just want to do it against the people that they, feel are
they don't want to remove the oppression. They want to become the oppressors.
Exactly. They're vile, immoral hypocrites at the core. This is just another example amongst many that show that this is their true mentality. Then the post says, but great literature should never be a zero-sum game. If we want to restore male readership, we need to be publishing culture that welcomes all voices and once again produce books capable of speaking across gender rather than to only one segment. Oh, no. Write books that are specifically targeted to men. Don't do this whole thing. We need to write books that will target everyone. No. That's where the problem is. You need books that are made for men. Women are free to enjoy it, but I'm not going to be neutering the masculine tropes or feeding in feminized nonsense in this book. And that's what I've done with my book. My book, hyper-masculine and purely written for a male audience.
I think the modern day sensibility is there are two kinds of books for women and then books for everybody. There could not be books for men. Books for men should be books for everybody.
Exactly. That's where this post goes completely wrong. And to that end, gentlemen, I'm testing something because I've mentioned right here and previous that so the first draft of my book is complete. It's with my editor, and I am now in the process of preparing it for self-publishing. But during the process, I've got nothing to lose. I want to see what the publishing industry would say about me or my book. And so I'm actually going to send it out to some agents and to see if an agent will pick it up, and then to see if the publishing industry, are we wrong? Let's test this. Are we wrong? Will the publishing industry publish an outspoken Christian, conservative, straight, white male with a book that is specifically targeted towards men? Now, I will be pitching it to them as this, saying male readers it's an underserved market. They want a book that is targeted for them. You are losing money. And so here is a book from an author with a proven track record. I have a self-published book that is done very well. Do you want to make money? That's going to be the question, and I'll get to find out how deep the rot goes. Because here's the thing, right? There's actually probably a number of publishers that would be happy to pick up my book, and these are small prints and stuff like that don't pay big advances. I'm like, no. We're going like, if we're going to be doing this, we're going to go and see what a big publisher will say. And if they show any interest in my book, they need to fork it out. They need to pay in advance equivalent to what I'd be able to make on my own book, self-publishing or more. Otherwise, there's no point. But I have a proven track record to say this book is going to make money. All right. I have an audience. I have reach. I have a proven, quality of success. Okay. And I have all these plans. And so I don't need you. But if you guys do want to make some money and see if there is an exception to the standard that you're showing, let's find out. Let's find out if there's anyone in the publishing industry that has balls and is willing to support a male-focused fantasy book. We will see.
I got a feeling, Shad, the answer to that's probably going to be no. And I'm going to tell you why, is because I think just like Hollywood is now a kind of Luciferian clout structure where you've kind of got to prove that you're willing to throw your own tribe under the bus, or you're willing to bow at the altar of something that goes against your beliefs in order to join their ranks. We saw this, I believe we saw this with Brandon Sanderson, where he made the, he kind of bowed down and he bent the knee. He included a prominent gay character in his most recent book after years of telling people he wasn't going to do that.
Hey, I need to jump on that. I talked with Brandon directly about that, and I can tell you he didn't do it to appease some people. Like I know Brandon, he is actually. I know him. Yeah. I consulted for Stormlight 4, and we've had direct communication on this topic. And so Brandon, he is a Latter-day Saint like me, but he's far more progressive. He still holds to all the standards of the church and stuff like that, but he has far more progressive actual ideals. And one of his own personal kind of things is that he has friends that are LGBT, and he has legitimate sympathy for struggles they have being accepted in the church by Christians and other things like that. And he has a track record of writing characters based on real people he knows. Nearly all the bridge crew in the Stormlight archives are based off of real people he knows. And so the gay character, not Aelin, that's the brother, Renarin. Okay. That was actually a legitimate expression of his own personal ideals. It wasn't to bend the knee.
But you can see why we would think that, though, right?
I can absolutely see why it looks like that. And I talked to Brandon about it, right? And this was actually him doing something that is done. By the way, I have a dedicated video talking about did Brandon Sanderson go work, by the way. So if you want more detail, people can watch that video. And I'll just try and paraphrase some of it, is that he as a writer has a consistent practice of wanting to explore different people's persons, ideals, mentalities, and he does that with his characters. So he intentionally writes characters of different perspectives, different to his own, and he writes atheists in his books, and he's very religious, right? He's done this, and one of the core principles that he's always held from the very beginning is when he writes someone with a viewpoint different to his own, that he does his very best to write that viewpoint as authentically valid from that person's perspective. Because he mentions, like, he really hates when writers write Christians and make them jokes and make their arguments weak and pathetic, and they're just there to be basically confounded by the atheist author to show Christians are idiots. And he got really annoyed by that, and he vowed to himself to never do that. Whenever he writes a person of a differing perspective, to write them as the way that person would want to be represented. And so when he has a gay character like Renarin, that was his approach. But it still has a lot of base stuff in his books, and he still has many traditional values, and he's a good guy, Brandon. He really is. Okay. But I also, I will say, because he is more progressive than the standard Latter-day Saint, I think that has made him more palatable from the, Apple Hollywood kind of perspective. And he does have an approach of, he does not like criticizing other authors and media he knows is bad. I have an interview with him on Shadiversity. You look up Brandon Sanderson just on Shadiversity, where I interviewed him, and I asked him what he thought about The Last Jedi, because and he was like, "Oh no, you're going to get me in trouble," because he hates it. I know he hates it, but he and he's such a nice guy. He hates criticizing it and criticizing bad things, but he knows bad media and good media. He just always looks for the good in people, because that's the type of person he is. Sorry to jump on that, but that's
it's fine. No, you've got a different No, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, like I said,
the other example I had was what was the other? Matt Dinneman throwing Critical Drinker under the bus.
Oh yes, I
left a really bad taste in my mouth, and it felt like it was something. He wouldn't not something he did. He felt like he changed something, right, to appease going into Hollywood. And it's left a bad taste in my mouth. A lot of other things. I'm not looking forward to going into Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm going to read it, but I'm probably not going to. I'm not looking as forward to it as I would have years ago. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of wondering because I want to be up to speed on it. But gosh, it's
that soured me.
See, you know.
That soured me on Dungeon Crawler Carl. He threw critical. He basically I can't remember the exact context, but he basically came out like Critical Drinker's person that I'm not associated with, and it felt like he was throwing Critical Drinker under the bus. That soured me on his stuff. I don't want to read his stuff if he's going to be that type of person. But going back on this bias in the publishing industry, okay? People do say that there are still some conservatives there. They just have to go quiet under the radar and things like that.
Yeah. And there are some smaller publishers who do still kind of have conservative values. Bain Books deserves their laurels for keeping keeping the straight and narrow when it comes to military sci-fi. Their stuff is really good. Shout out to Wargate Books. They do military sci-fi. That's Nick Cole and Jason Anspach's outfit. They try to keep stuff very apolitical by nature, and there's probably some others that I can't think of at the moment, but there are a few publishers that are still out there, still kind of carrying that torch for male readers, and God bless them.
Yeah, and so that's because of those reasons, I'm like, let's put this to the test, because what we would hope, right? I do want indie to explode and be successful, okay? But I also want, if there's any hope to try and save traditional publishing, because traditional publishing doesn't give a lot of benefits to, say, someone like myself, who can get reach and get a good successful indie book. But there are certain things. They could get my book into more bookstores. They could help translate my book into other languages, which is a pretty cool thing, and get more kind of reach out there. And look, there is a badge of legitimacy because it goes through a high standard of vetting to see, if a book will get out there. And the other side, right? Traditional publishing seems to be reluctant to promote a lot of books unless they are invested in it. If they've put a lot of money into it, that's like money that they know they need to recoup. And so they are then committed to putting marketing behind it and pushing the book to audiences that I would not be able to reach on my own. And so this is why I'm testing. I'm like, all right, there are those little things that traditional publishing might still be able to do for me. But in that case, I would only be willing to play ball with them if they commit to it. And I'm like, this book, I can show that it's going to be a success. You need to be willing to come to the table and offer an advance that shows that you're going to be marketing this thing and pushing it because you want it to make that level of money. And if they are, it would be good if we could actually get some traditional stuff into the mainstream a bit more. That would be good. That would be good. And still supporting indie at the same time. And if they, I'm the type of person that stereotypically, especially with the nature of mainstream publishing, they would not want to do anything with me. That's the stereotype. I'm a very outspoken conservative Christian. I'm a divisive figure. The left hate my friggin' guts. People are going to try and cancel me. Okay. And so I don't think it's very likely, but I got nothing to lose, and I'm going to self-publish my book anyway, and it's going to be a wonderful success, and it's an awesome book. So to that end, just to see what happens, I have sent out like 5 query letters to big agencies, like big literary agents. And one has already responded and asked for the full manuscript.
Well, that's a good sign.
I'm like, interesting. And he's not a small agent. This guy is like, but the thing is though, I did pick this agent because I knew he also is the agent for some other outspoken conservative voices that have published books.
Okay, I was like, did you make him extra queer? You make such
Well, there are some conservative public, like Brandon Sanderson. I wouldn't call him full conservative, but he is a proud Latter-day Saint Mormon. Okay, and so even though he is not on the conservative side nearly as much as me, all right, but he's a Latter-day Saint that's published, and so all right. By the way, his agent has already shown interest in my books, and this is why, like, you guys have read Shadow the Conqueror. You know that it has some strong Christian themes embedded into it. It's anti-communist. It has some base stuff in it, right? He showed interest in Shadow the Conqueror, and at one point he was willing, after I showed that it's success publishing, he was willing to try and take on the whole thing, but I was only after translation rights at that point. But it's like, okay, I've already been speaking with him. I'll send him a query to see what happens. But this other agent, like I said, has already gotten back to me. And that's interesting because a lot of people say that querying is really, really difficult and can be difficult. But if you figure out how to query agents right and know the correct, approach to it, yeah, this guy got back to me pretty quickly and is a big agent and is asking.
I think it's at this point we can go and say, yeah, they'll go indies. But I think it might be actually important for us to try more.
That's what I mean. I'm just
that way, if we get rejected, it's like, here's proof. If we get accepted,
exactly. If I get rejected on a book that has very almost a proven record that it's going to be successful, I've got like my graphic novel campaign to show that I have a mailing list of people who've bought it. I have approximately 80,000 sales on an indie book that's just sold on my own reach and marketing. Okay. And so this is going to make money. And if they say they do not want to make like a surefire, profitable publication success because I'm too much of like a toxic person, there's proof.
And
I'll be able to say,
it's a particularly popular book too, because it doesn't matter if some reviews were negative, it has garnered a ton of views. A lot of attention has been
huge attention.
A lot of attention, and it's gotten a ton of views. So it's not just like your typical indie. It has a lot more weight to it. So we'll see how it goes. Well, but I've also had the idea too. I'm trying something else in the background on this similar effect. I'll let you know if it succeeds though.
Oh, do because I'll be reporting back. But to that end, just I guess to let because there might be potential, authors or aspiring authors in our chat and stuff like that. I will share with you the query pitch of my novel. It's just like a small short thing about the concept of what I'm pitching. And it's hyper masculine. Like I'm saying, this is the pitch of my book. This is who I am. If you want to make money, let's see what we can do. And like, it'll be interesting. I'm really interested to see if there is a publisher that has the balls to work with me, because they would need balls. There will be people who will make videos saying how much of a toxic person I am, and how dare anyone work with me, and all of that. So
my running theory for publishing in the upcoming years is that romantasy is a trend. Like a lot of trends, eventually it will burn itself out. And when that kind of readership starts to go on the wayside and they start hurting for money, I know they've been kind of sourcing the indies for years now to kind of find someone. I think that they've been trying to source people who are willing to play ball with their values, their progressive values.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to be like, if they say, can you like soften or feminize this? I'll be like, no.
Yeah.
No, it's not happening.
Shad should be top of their list because you have what they really want, which is they want indies that have a big readership to bring them into the fold for that. That's why they wanted Ryan Cahill, Matt Denneman, there's been other indie guys that have been, Travis Baldry, who had Legends and Lattes. They had established fan bases that they brought in with them when they were traditionally published. I'll even throw in a romantasy author that I know, one that I enjoyed. Shiloh Breyer, who wrote Hopeless Necromantic, which was a good romantasy book. That was not an endless bunch of smut, I promise. It had great characters. It had a decent romance between the two main characters, and he was not a 6 foot tall immortal vampire prince. Okay. I'm not going to go off on the whole thing about it, but she got a traditional published deal after her success, because she has a very successful Instagram account, because most of it features her own art, because she's one of those lucky ducks that manages to draw her own art of her own characters.
Or you could be like me and use AI. Another controversial thing. People are going to go spurg out and guess what? In my query letter, I even say, no AI was used in the writing of this manuscript, but I support the use of AI and I intend to use AI for promotional material. All right. And so I'm like trying to give them full heads up about all the, fire bombs that might come up to just to see what happens, and so I'll read you guys the query pitch that I sent, and just for like atmosphere, this is a place. This is not the final cover. Okay, this is a placeholder cover, test cover that I have made of my upcoming novel, Champions of the Endless War, Book 1, A Tale of Monsters and Men, by Shad.
Cover reveal.
Not a full. No, this isn't the cover reveal. I'm already in contact with my cover artist, and one of the best. And this is the thing, like people think that, oh, I'm such an AI shield. It's like, no, I prefer using humans when I can afford it and when it's in the right context. This is like a test cover for me exploring different concepts for it. And it's really helpful. I can show my artist and say, this is kind of like the idea I have. What are your thoughts now? And then it's going to make an awesome, and I hope to make multiple covers. But so here's the pitch. And guys, I'm interested in your feedback. Do you think if this is like, do you think a traditional publisher is going to go for it or not? We'll find out. But I'll read it in a dramatic voice. This is the blurb, you could say, of my upcoming book. Instead of finding glory in battle, Volric, the son of a noble lord, finds that he is very, very good at killing. And God help him, he loves it. His newly discovered bloodlust could be a good thing if channeled at the scheming lord burning his father's lands, or the fey monsters that are far more real than any had supposed. For the realm has forgotten that its fairy tales were never just stories, they were survival instructions. Yet Volric quickly learns that knowing how to wield a sword is different to knowing the true cost of using it, and his dream of being a knight is leading him down a path to become the very thing he set out to destroy. But what if that ferocious monster within his heart is the very thing they need to survive? Can he use it to protect his home and loved ones and maintain control, or will that monster consume him entirely? 3 wars are converging on the sheltered valley of Moraine. One is fought with armies and steel. Another is fought against creatures of ancient tale and myth. And the last and most terrible has no beginning and no end. The endless war between good and evil waged in the human heart. To survive them all, Volric must learn what it really means to be a man, to find the true source of his strength, and master the sword as well as the monster inside before it destroys him. For in the rivers of blood he must wade through, against evil's nefarious goal, Volric will choose, to win or lose, the battle for his soul. And that's the pitch. That's the pitch right there. And interestingly, an agent responded, as asked for the full manuscript. And I'm like, okay. That was unapologetically masculine and is about violence, and is like, he still might turn down the book. He still needs to read it now. So,
because there are 3 things that I think a masculine book can acknowledge as cool: violence, smoking, and drinking. Those are 3 things that are very, very masculine. whatever Gaston likes to do.
I have a question, Chad, about your book.
A potential serial killer. That's the whole question.
Okay.
Is that A Tale of Monsters and Men?
That's Marv. That's Marv from Sin City. He could be one.
But here's the thing. To be a hero in this context, you need to have the capacity to be violent. Like a true man, okay? A truly peaceful man is not a weak man. It's a man that is capable of great violence, but knows how to use it right and appropriately. That's the very core concept of the book, that my character realizes that he not only is capable of violence, he is damn good at it. And he also learns that it's needed. That's the masculine message behind underpinning my book, right? And it's something that the left will hate because they want to neuter men and all violence is bad. And this book is like, no, some violence is appropriate and good.
I only have one question, Shad.
Yeah?
Are there orcs in it?
Not yet. There's goblins. There's goblins.
0 out of 10,
Goblins are
1 star.
Wait,
Yeah.
hey, there's goblins are they're like little orcs. Come on.
If there's a goblin short stack baddie in there, maybe, but
you see the reflection right there? There's a hint. Like if
it's
I was
orcish.
yeah, it's orcish.
Now, how many on a scale of 1 to 10? How many monster cocks are in this fantasy?
None. Zip and zero. There are boobs though, in a tasteful, appropriate Christian way. You'll find out because
Are they female boobs?
yes they are. Because
Are they on a monster?
well,
Are they monster boobs?
do elves count as monsters?
No.
No. So then no.
I mean,
'Cause,
if you were in Orc City, you might think that, but
you might think that's true. Like oddly enough, this book, I didn't plan on following the hero's journey in this book. But this book ends up being very classically hero's journey, even the descent into the underworld to face their temptation. There's that in the book, unexpectedly, but in a very prominent, strong way. Like this character his standards and virtue is tested in the extreme, not just like in appropriate killing, but his virtue as a man and his relationship against women. And there is a temptress character in here that tests him.
That all makes sense because Joseph Campbell didn't invent the hero's journey.
Yeah,
he just noticed
natural.
it.
It is a natural, actual byproduct.
It was already there.
Exactly. when men kind of instinctively know this, where they know men, you start weak, you need to go on a journey to not only grow strength, but control strength. And the virtuous man is tested in his virtue. Okay. And these natural tropes actually come out without even thinking. And it came out with this. Like, I was actually surprised how much like hero's journey structure is there without me even intending it, because my intention is just I'm going to write a story about a friggin' hero, okay, that goes on a proper journey. It's about manhood and masculinity, and holy crap, after the fact I'm like, well, there we go, that's cool. I didn't expect it. So how many waifus? So
that's a good question. I gotta want to.
Technically, you could say there's 3 in the book because he is tempted. He gets tempted, and there is a pure romance, a quick and easy option that he could go with, and a really, really fun option he could go with. And then there is this pure path that does test the character, and is not wholly or fully resolved. There is a full arc in this book, but this book is the opening of a series, very much so that you're gonna get hooked.
Nathan Cassidy has the right idea. Turn this into a harem lit novel and just attach all of them to him. Which, if you kind of want to, when we're talking about
look, I'm in a bad position for that. You know why? Because I'm a Mormon. I'm a Latter-day Saint. If I do it, everyone's just gonna go look, he's a polygamist.
Come on,
even though
Chad.
Robert Jordan did it in Wheel of Time. No one bats an eye. He does it in Mushoku Tensei. No one bats an eye. If a Mormon does a harem story, everyone's going to think Mormons and polygamy proven. I can't do it. What am I? I'm like in a rock and a hard place. Look, I won't say that I hadn't. If I wanted to, I could go down that path because
it's a whole genre now, though.
It's a genre.
It's like the other side of the romantasy coin a little bit. In fact,
it is a bit.
Done a lot of open reviews of it, but I have read several harem lit novels to kind of see, what was the appeal? Is this appealing to me and whatnot? And in a lot of ways, from the few that I've read, it seems like it is just the male version of the romantasy stuff. These guys are very much put in situations. It's like, yeah, I'm going to nail all 3 of these broads, but I'm going to do it as wholesomely and morally as possible. It's kind of funny.
In anime, usually it's there's one girl. There's like one main girl.
Yeah, there's your main, and then there's your side ones, and but it's the kind of thing that really works better in literature than in real life.
The thing is, though, there is actually a really important metaphor that runs through this book that I wasn't expecting, but it has ended up becoming really important. And it's the relationship between the main character and the primary love interest. And she is a full-blown protagonist in and of her own right. And their relationship becomes really crucial as an unexpected metaphor between the important relationship between men and women, where the main character, Volric, he occupies the classic heroic masculine role, but he would not be able to do what he does and be the hero he needs to be without this female love interest's support and help. And she ends up filling an essential, crucial feminine role that without her, he could not be the hero he needs to be. And she's not a girl boss. She's not kicking ass on the front line, but she ends up fulfilling the crucial, essential feminine role that he needs. And not only that, she becomes nearly the primary source of his greater power and strength. And that interplay ends up being a metaphor that I have fallen in love with throughout the book, that it has this kind of message about the roles of men and women and how they need to support each other. And when they embrace those roles, that's how you can overcome the greatest trials in life. And so, like I said, this book is one of the best bits of writing I've ever done. And it is like more base than I ever expected, and it is targeted for full on just it's for a masculine male audience, masculinity throughout it all, with the very core concept being some of the most important principles I feel that are needed. And these are traditional principles. The traditional principles: heroism, manliness, femininity, all that stuff that the mainstream have utterly abandoned and despise. This embraces the damsel in distress, right? This embraces masculinity, heroism, and it is wrapped up in one of the best things I've ever written in, like, the medieval fantasy world. You know me, Shadiversity. Like, you're going to get immersed in a more medieval fantasy world like you haven't believed. It has some of the most full-on medieval, full-throated combat, fighting and battles, and some of the most enjoyable characters. You guys are going to love it. I can't wait to bring it to you. And in the process of me preparing it, like I said, we'll find out if a mainstream publisher can see that, okay, I think people are going to like this book. We'll find out.
All jokes aside, this inject this directly into my veins, please. It does sound great, and I'm anxious to get my hands on it, and I'm anxious to see, Shad, how you've grown as an author from your book 1 to your book 2, because when you are someone who is dedicated to your craft, who is dedicated to taking good faith critique and applying it and improving, it's always evident. And I love seeing that in authors.
Well, I have to say, like, in my own opinion, this is actually a big leap forward for me as a writer. Like, you're gonna see some stuff that, oh boy, like the integration of certain elements, the integration of music in not a jarring way, rhyme, poetry, as well as balancing information, exposition, all that stuff. I've approached this intentionally, thinking of the valid criticisms of my first book and seeing, okay, what can I do better? That's always been on my mind. And like I said, this is the best thing I've ever written to date. And it's a really good sign when you go back and you're just trying to review a chapter and you get hooked in and you end up just reading the whole chapter because you're enjoying what's there. So it happens to me every time when I go back to this book.
No, Shad, no, you got to stop. You got to look at it with that critical eye, man. I know you're enjoying reading it.
Well, that's what
you got to lock in, man. You got to lock in for me.
That's where I'm at with it. We are now on developmental edits with my editor, and we'll be getting beta readers, doing the whole shebang. Okay, we'll be looking at all the places to try and polish this bad boy up to make it the best book it can be. And after the end of this journey, we're going to be able to find out a bit more confirmation, we'll see, about where the publishing industry is at when it comes to Christian-focused based literature, okay, fantasy, straight white male authors, and all that.
Do they want readers or money, or do they not?
Exactly. And there's an untapped market there. There really is, right? If they just like latch onto that and then are willing to push it, this book could be a big success. And I think in my core audience, it's definitely going to be.
Yeah, and not for nothing, Shad. Look, for all the criticism you got, for all the YouTube videos, turning your book into a punching bag, you still have way more positive reviews and engaged readers than you ever had critics.
Oh, 100%. Like nearly 80,000 copies sold. And the reviews, just look at the reviews on Audible and Amazon. Out of thousands and thousands of reviews, the book's sitting on a 4.6 out of 5 stars, 9 out of 10, right? And so for the core audience, they love it. For people that don't like this style of book, because Shadow the Conqueror is a very specific style of fantasy called hard fantasy, a lot of people just can't, they hate it because it's so heavy on the world building, even exposition. But the type of people that love that genre, they consumed my book like in a couple of sittings and love the hell out of it. And so you never write something for everyone because you will never appeal to everyone. Okay. Exactly. And especially people ideologically opposed to me and the values of the book. Shadow the Conqueror has a very strong message about forgiveness. Okay. Even like, it poses the question, could you forgive the most vile person in history? And that's what offends so many people on the left, because I was willing to write an actual evil person and they think I'm like trying to make excuses for it when the whole context of the book is condemning his actions. But no, I'm a rape apologist now because I wrote an evil character. They're idiots, right? And the book isn't for them.
That's their favorite line about Shadow the Conqueror is, oh, you read Shad's rape book. Like, please. You didn't read it. Yeah. You didn't want to read it. You were just intent to. I've said it before, most of the critics that you had on YouTube were people that just wanted the algorithmic boost from having your book in their thing. They weren't giving your book a fair shot in the slightest. And I still maintain if you had moved a couple of elements around, it would have been a massive, successful romantasy book.
Yeah, right. It could have easily fit into romantasy. 100%.
And the thing about Dalen, the most, you mentioned it earlier that he wiped out communism, was like, Dalen's like, man, I'm the worst, most villainous man who ever lived, but at least I'm not a communist. He wasn't that evil, Shad.
Well, he kind of was a communist. That's the thing, but he hates communists as a result.
That's right. Didn't he implement the communism?
Yes.
He was
okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
He thought communism was cool. And then he's like, wait a minute, actually, it's dumb.
Well, his arc, right? His arc goes down the exact same kind of perspective of people who they just want everyone to have the same thing. It's all good. And he also came in with class warfare. He hated the aristocracy. So
I'm sorry, I forgot that element of it.
But his approach was the same mindset where he was trying to do good and inadvertently got, sucked into those ideologies of communist kind of philosophy. And the results were what you would expect. He became the greatest tyrant the world ever seen.
Real Dalenism hasn't been tried.
If it would be called Dalenism. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I
called
didn't do that.
Comment of the stream.
That is gold. Like when I get to the sequels of Shadow the Conqueror, communism is going to be called Dalenism.
It's going to be like a 100%. Whole like vat of young people. Actually, real Dalenism has not been tried. And then Dalen himself is like, no, I was wrong. This is awful. Actually, let me explain something to you, Dalen. This actually worked. If they actually would try to make it work, lecturing Dalen on why his system would work.
Well, that's kind of in the book when
their whole thing was they were trying to resurrect him, his ideology.
The Dawnist,
he comes across against his own communist, which that's not a bug, that's a feature for communism.
Exactly. Like he comes across the Dawnists that want to bring back the Dawn Empire, and they're fully in support of Dalus the Conqueror, and they're all communists. And he's there, and he just rips into him. He's like, I despise you and everything you stand for and stuff, because he hates himself so much. That was a fun book to write, and if you're the target audience, it's a fun book to read. People have loved it, and my next book is on its way. But we'll find out though if it's too based for the mainstream, and if it is, I lose nothing. I'm going to self-publish it and get it to you, and it's going to be so polished, right? It's like this is a 100% professional quality book. Going to have an audio book with it, professional covers, and by the way, I have such a great editor I'm working with at the moment. Top tier editor, expensive. You pay for the best, but you get the best. And she is brilliant. And so working with her right now. And so you're going to get a friggin' awesome book one way or another. And we'll see if the mainstream wants to be part of it or not. So All right, guys. Let's get to these supers and begin to wrap up. Thanks for indulging me. I'm excited for my book, and I will be talking about. I'll be dropping kind of like little Easter eggs and promo things here and there leading up to the release. This is part of marketing strategy, everyone, and I want to get you excited for this book. This book is going to be friggin' fun. I know it is because I've read it. And just wait. But thanks, everyone. So, Walla Yamuna, member 40 months. Dude, member for so long. Thank you. Shad, they have been emasculating James Bond for over a decade. Case in point, the last 2 movies and the last game. Yeah. 100%. 100%. They hate James Bond. They hate James Bond on a fundamental level. And Wally Moon again for 20 says, I wanted to recommend a book series named Mother of Learning. Imagine Harry Potter take the stupid out in an extremely well done time loop. Okay. You actually feel the characters grow over the series. Simply amazing. Mother of Learning. All right. Harry Potter, but without stupidity. I'm on board. I'll put it on a list, but I only get to consume a couple of books a year these days because I'm just too busy. It's annoying. So I told you about something similar where I had the idea to do Harry Potter, but during his our years. Oh yeah, well, like exactly where it's just an evil
fight dark wizards, exactly. And then I would add in guns. I would have Harry Potter use a combination of wizardry and guns.
put a wand on a handle so you can hold it like this, and he just starts blasting, magic spells based.
And he kills. He obviously kills.
Yes, of course. Evil people need to be killed when they're not repentant and they've done terrible things that need to be answered for. They deserve to die. Nathan Cassidy, for our legend mod in chat, says House of the Dragon, an unintentional warning of why we don't have female president. They made it, not me. Okay, if you want to take the lesson, just it's right there in the show. Nathan Cassidy again for $5 says off topic, and to echo others' questions, where's Mike? I miss his generational thoughts. Mike has been just struggling with his energy levels, unfortunately. Like, is always the door is always open. He always gets the link, and when he's up to it, he's more than welcome to come back. But I also understand, like, dude, I deal with chronic fatigue, and there's weeks that I just can't. Like, guys, I can't do it. And so Mike, last I heard, is still struggling with those energy levels. So thinking of him, and is welcome back whenever he wants. And then we have Grey Spirit 4 for 6 says, would you consider mechs as evolution of knights? A little bit, because like knights, one of the big things is with the full armor that they had, and that made them like the tanks of the day. And so you could adapt that into a fantasy, like piloting these mechs. What would need to happen is that they kind of would need to pay for the mechs themselves, so they own it, they have ownership over it. That's their armor, that's their mech, and then they're kind of seen as like there's a stronger connection than just like a military. And then they're seen as the individual warriors who source the weaponry, pilot the weaponry, fight for the country. You could have a feudal setting in a sci-fi setting that's actually compatible. You can make it work. And yeah, there's ways to do it. And what I would do, I would integrate the mech suit, so the big mech suit with the pilot suit. The pilot suit, make it look like bit sci-fi medieval armor. That needs to be the way to integrate with the mech, so they still wear the like a power suit when they're just on their own, and then they put it in the mech as well and stuff. There's some cool potential. So yes, I agree. Nathan Cassidy for 20 says, speaking of gays and women, targeting those audiences, I think, is I had an epiphany in Vegas that there is a fantasy that exists that's made for them that everyone else loves and is considered one of the best movies ever made, The Wizard of Oz. I don't know, like The Wizard of Oz is, I reckon, more for the period it was made in for children. One of my younger sons loves The Wizard of Oz. It's just a fun child tale with strange creatures and music. But I could see it getting co-opted.
More of a fairy tale when you think about it, but
yeah. Hey, Mav Games, Shad, I finished your book. A surprise ending, but not out of the question. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you want to see AI art storytelling, OOC is good. Is that a handle?
Out of character?
Out of character is good. I created a story called Getter Project and love playing it myself like anime. I'm thinking anime or animation. Yeah, man. I'm intending to make some AI. I have songs written for my book, and I want to produce an album, and I'll either be working with a human artist if I can find the right one, or produce them. I've written them, but produce them with AI. It's going to be one of that. I'm happy. I prefer working with the artists, but if I can't find one, I'm perfectly happy to do it with AI. And then I also want to make AI music videos, like the actual visual music video to accompany each song. And so I'm going to be diving into that closer to the release of my book, because they're going to be promotional material that I can release for my book. And I'm biased, of course. I love the songs. They're tied into the world building, the events. There are also songs that exist in the world and in the book itself. Narratively, they appear. They have big relevance to history, to world building, to themes, and so that's something I've been having a lot of fun with.
I have not blasted this much on social media, but I have been listening to AI music for a few months now. Man, it is remarkably good. And in some of the heavy metal circles, like some of it will sound like kind of heavy metal wallpaper, but in sorting through I have found some songs that are like some of my all-time favorites. I found a dude who's got a channel. He's got like 27 songs about evil demon trains from hell. And I'm like, yeah, but some of these really hit.
AI music is insane. Like the vocal pitch and tone is perfect. They managed to duplicate human voice perfectly, so much so that it is like a master singing in the perfect pitch and reaching some notes that you can't believe. And it is incredible. It is actually incredible at this point. And
dude,
this is
my wife started listening to a new country artist for a couple weeks, and she's like, I really like these songs. And she finally I listened to them. I don't know. It caught my ear in that way that I can kind of tell some AI music. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it, and I looked at the visual of the guy singing, and I'm like, babe, this guy's AI. She's like, is he? Oh, I don't care. He sounds good. I like the way his music sounds.
Yeah. And so I, in experimentation to see how my lyrics could sound in music, I've put them through Suno AI and made full songs out of them. And there's some like I listen to them on repeat. And I don't know if it's bias or it's because it's singing about themes that are dear to my heart. I wrote them to express, core things that I believe in. And so I get immersed in these songs, and I just I listen to them on repeat. And my kids love them. They ask to hear my songs all the time. And I'm happy for my kids to listen to them, not only because I think the songs are good, but they have really good themes that I want them to just consume, immersed on a core level. And so one of the challenges that I'll be facing trying to find a human artist is finding a human artist that can sing them as well as the AI has sung them, because the AI's vocals, like I said, are flawless.
Or someone who would be willing to hey, I found this AI song. Can you sing it? I got to imagine a lot of musicians really, really don't.
They need to adapt or die, because they'll be turning down just a fully paid job. I was like, these are written by me. We have experimental tracks that show these are the lyrics and the tone and everything. We can make this now with a human voice. Do you want to sing this? And singers have had other people write their songs all the time throughout the past. Okay, so that shouldn't be an issue. But if they have a stick up their butt and they're like, oh, AI bad, well, you're just going to be missing out on money. It's a paid job. So
if they're hungry enough, they'll do it.
Yeah, we'll see. And if not, the AI sounds brilliant. So I'm not losing out, and I'm going to, produce and release them anyway. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if anyone wants, but my intention, my intention is to try and get a human to sing these songs. We'll see. Kosho Shinogi for $2 says Carl Benjamin for the next James Bond, a British patriot. I would support 100%. James at 4986 says, are you at all excited for the upcoming Coyote vs. ACME movie? I've never even heard of that.
Acme.
Oh, yeah. It's like a Wile E. Coyote.
Huh? Coyote versus Acme. It was thought to be lost media because they decided they made the movie. It was fully completed. They decided they weren't going to release it and turn it into a tax write-off. And apparently a distributor finally kind of came forward and said, you know what? We're not going to let this get back girled. We're going to go ahead and release it. I don't know if it'll do well or not. My kids really want to see it. But,
yeah. All right. That sounds cool.
It's about the coyote from the Roadrunner cartoons suing the Acme Corporation for all the faulty exploding stuff and nothing working right.
All right, that sounds fun. Nathan Cassidy, again, legend, thank you, man, for $5 says, it's funny that the male rom fantasy is, I have the stamina, charisma, and mental fortitude to keep multiple women happy and not harm each other.
The women get their power fantasy, so do we.
They do, but the male one is like, to keep women happy and to provide for them and have multiple women and stuff, but it's actually not abusive in that sense. The women enter into it willingly, where a lot of this female fantasy bullcrap is horribly abusive. It's like kink, rape, fetish stuff, and it's like so vile.
Yeah, on the male side, it's usually pretty wholesome. Like even if he has like
no joke, like Mashoko
even if he has like a whole entire harem, right? It's just like he's kind to all of them. He provides for all of them. He protects all of them.
They don't hate each other.
Yeah, that's what Mashoko Tensei is. Actually, you could say it's more wholesome than even Wheel of Time, because Wheel of Time, he marries 3 women, but he doesn't end up really living with them. They kind of pine after him. They still have children. And so, but Mashoko Tensei is like, this guy just loves these women, all of them equally, and provides and protects for them. And they all enter into the relationship willingly so, almost enthusiastically so. And like, that's nowhere near as problematic as the crap we see in a lot of female literature. But Mashoko Tensei gets raked over the coals, of course, because misogyny and all that stuff that we've talked about in this other live streams. They hate anime. Yeah. So Wally Muna for 20 says, another book series I'd recommend is the Bobbyverse. The first book is We Are Legion, We Are Bob. So the Bobbyverse. Okay. It uses concepts like posthumanism, Newman, is that pronounced it? Probes, and Fermi paradox, and also has Brazil as a superpower. Interesting. But recommendation right there. The Bobbyverse. Check it out. Name I can't pronounce, my apologies for 10. I may be mistaken, but as I've read his work, Sanderson seems excessively inclusive lately, going out of his way to make atypical characters, making alternative relations and relationships common. I will agree that he's gotten more progressive as time has gone on, not full-blown. He's not off the ledge, okay? He still holds to many traditional values. And for me, I'm really interested to see if he continues or if he pulls back, or if this was something he wanted to explore in these characters and for now. And then we'll see. So, but don't write him off. He's a great guy, great writer, and still absolutely worthwhile checking out. And for me, I do want to see what his future works are going to be like, because his last Stormlight Archives book was the most kind of woke, you could say. And I've done a whole video explaining where I think is coming from. Okay. And so you can check that out. And so we have Zemamaru, $5 says, Shad, hurry up and finish Attack on Titan. I know. That's just one that I'll get to it eventually. Guy in the hat said something last week. That was Rhino. We love Rhino about it. And I want to push back on it, but it would be a spoiler for you. Well, thank you for not spoiling it. I do want to watch the full Attack on Titan. Wally Muna for 20 says, Mother of Learning has guns. It has an extremely well done magic system, but also has guns. Well, that makes it even better. Okay, we have Skyborn for 10. Thank you, man. Says, hey, Shad, love all your stuff. Thank you. From religion to swords to media stuff and politics, etc. That's a rare thing for everyone to like all of my takes in all of those fields. I appreciate that. Would you ever do a video on how you would design different swords for sci-fi that aren't lightsabers? I think I already have. I'm sure I have. If not, something related to it, because I've done lots of videos on lightsabers, and then I usually talk about what ones could work better. And I kind of like, if you could make an energy blade that's like a molecule thick, that would go through that would cut through anything and would be insane, because it'd be weightless, and the shearing capacity on it is near unstoppable if it's like super sharp, super thin like that. And so that's what I kind of lean towards even the energy swords in sci-fi settings I've made myself. LitDev remembers on All-Star. I'll get to All-Star someday. Don't worry. All-Star will come about.
Hey, now you're an All-Star. I remember that.
I remember All-Star. Okay, so We've reached the end. Thank you to everyone who has super chat and joined us in this live stream. John, anything you want to mention as now we're wrapping up?
I've been plugging my book, and I'm still waiting on the final proofs for the thing. But if I can have real quick, we talked a lot about the women that write the books that we don't like. I would like to quickly signal boost some female authors that I have read that are worth promoting. If I can do that real quick.
Yeah, 100%. Please do.
Real quick. An Australian legend, Shad, from your own country, one of my favorite female authors who did dark fantasy and dark romance really well. Sarah Douglas, The Wayfarer Redemption. She got more books than I could talk about, and I could talk about her for a long time. This would be a good place to start. I also have by Brina Williamson, Marona Grant, The Lost Tomb of Golgotha. This, you can tell, straight up old school Indiana Jones style adventure fiction.
Yeah.
On the bed. I read this earlier this year. It was one of the best that I've read so far. She goes by S.A. Oliver, Ernster now. She used to go by Oliver. Dyrock 88 already got book 2 out. This is a really good little sci-fi book with a main male character. I'm never not going to promote R.H. Snow's Watcher of the Dam, Transmutation, Texas. This is a sci-fi post-apocalyptic romance western adventure. Love this stuff, and she's working on a 15-book series. She's got about 9 in it right now. If a little bit of horror and post-apocalyptic thriller is your bag, Molly Macabre's Dark Bloom, very good stuff. Recommended.
Mm-hmm. I was liking so many of the covers. The covers were looking great. That last one was
a lot of these were cover buys for me.
Yeah,
and I'm still going to get rid of. I've heard it's clean, but it's sci-fi romance. This is Amber Toro's Umbra, Sentient Stars, book 1. She's already got book 2 out.
Nice.
And yeah, guys, give some love to the female authors that do service to their male readership and understand that they don't want to just put a bunch of smut out there, because that's not what they like reading.
Legend, absolutely. You're a connoisseur, mate. I really appreciate it. Bring all these awesome recommendations. That is so cool. Xavier Hart's like, for $2. Wait, sorry, man. We've reached the end.
I just love catching the very end of the stream.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can.
I showed up. Start over again.
Oh, look at that. Skyboard wrote all those down. Sweet, mate. You're doing God's work there. Thank you, John. We appreciate your recommendations, man. And hey,
be careful with Sarah Douglas, though. When I say dark, she can get dark.
Okay. Is it like Shadow of the Conqueror dark or further?
It's a little further. It's a little further. It would make some of these book talk girlies' hair burst into
all
flames.
All right. There you go. Hey, Lindev, anything you want to mention now that we're signing off?
Just my usual morning nonsense stream every weekday. We had the guest Shady Do-Rags on a few times already. Hey, very cool guy, very smart, very intelligent. A lot of fun discussing Batman and all kinds of like those old school cartoons and getting his takes on them. Very, very cool conversations.
Nice.
And also, been talking to my artist, and hopefully we can get the stuff we need out for Lady Midnight soon. We want to get 2 more pages done and 2 pages colored before we finally launch it. So it's going to be on Fund My Comic because Indiegogo has become way too strange.
Yeah.
It's become way too basically unusable. I tried. It's unusable. It just like what the hell? Like people were like signing up last time on Indiegogo after the change. It wasn't giving me any addresses or their orders or anything. I was like, how am I supposed to deliver it to you? So
yeah,
it really hasn't improved much. So
I just don't trust them. Like they've blacklisted people, and I'm like,
and they're just pelting me, this constant pelting me with spam emails. Like that. This is garbage. This is a garbage site now. So I'm just going to move over to Fund My Comic. I'm not even going to use Indiegogo at this point.
Yeah, I'm not going to be using him in the future, and I have a sales campaign in the works for the launch of my book. And when I say sales campaign, guys, like I'm producing swords. I'm working with companies to produce models, like potentially a model of Honor Guard, the castle in the book, as well as like a medieval looking pen and a letter opener that's going to be the sword from the book, Valagard, as well as like awesome T-shirts, and there's going to be some wicked awesome merch, and that's literally what I'll be working on this week. Developing.
Shad, come on,
some
man, my
assets.
wallet's already crying.
dude, there's going to be so much cool stuff. And when I say like these are going to be like premium, top quality products, and like I said, I'm working with a company that knows how to source and develop it and everything. And that's just like the beginning. When I have an album, those songs I talk about, we're going to release a vinyl record of the album, as well as a CD and digital album. There's going to be leather bound copies for this, collector covers. Like the release of this book is going to be premium with such cool things, man. And you could get a sword bundle that gets the LARP sword that's kid safe friendly, that is super high quality, a real steel sword. If I can pull this off, there'll be a real sword, like battle ready sword, right? That you could get with it. Then you'll get the letter opener sword. You'll get the book cover that has the sword, the primary book cover, and that's like the sword bundle. And there'll be collector bundles, and there'll be music bundle. I got big plans, guys. It's going to be great.
Those plans better include putting an orc character in there somewhere. I'm watching you.
Eventually, I got goblins. They're orc adjacent, you know. They're orc adjacent. They're kind of there. I don't know. Like orcs are fun, but goblins are like I like goblins because they have longer kind of mythology in folklore and stuff. And they're like the classic monster of medieval folklore in my
What kind of goblins are they, Shad? Are they like WoW goblins, or
they are not Goblin Slayer goblins? I'll say that. Okay.
Oh, Goblin's finest moments.
No, they are more cannibalistic. Very cannibalistic, as in bloodthirsty, unhinged. They are monstrous monsters. None of this sympathetic rings of power. The goblins and orcs. We just want
little babies. Oh, we just live in peace.
Provide to our families, and we want a land of safety and peace. Now, these goblins want to eat every single living thing they find, especially humanoids. They are vicious, bloodthirsty, almost irredeemably corrupt for specific reasons, and there are like. When this book is called Monsters of Men, again, one of the themes is playing with this idea of what monsters are. Real monsters as well as the monster in the human heart, and the potential of that anyone has, as well as people who embrace the darkness, people who are just monstrous for their own pride and envy, or like all the thing. Like it explores all of that. And so I'm working hard on that. That's me for this week. Just working on getting this book ready. And there we are. We are at the end. I think there might have been actually one last super chat. Xavier Savior Heart for $5 says, "G'day. I love reading Conan comics, and a good book is Amanda Bridgman and her Spud Compton series." All right. And recommendations all around, people. Check that stuff out. Write it down. Because there is good media. Okay. When people say, there isn't a lot of mainstream male stuff, but there is plenty of stuff that has been made in the past. And there is stuff, if you look between the cracks, there's plenty in the indie sphere. Check out John's works, check out Lit Dev's works, check out my works. Plenty of stuff made for men that you will enjoy. Right there. Lionheart by John A. Douglas. Check it out, everyone. So thank you for joining us, everyone, on another Culture Crusade. We appreciate you all. We will see you next time. And as always, stay on watch.